Chapter 96. The king of medicine had practiced medicine for dozens of years, but he had never seen such a frightening situation. The 9 silver needles were actually retreating, as if there was a force pushing the needles out bit by bit. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, suddenly, a silver light flashed, and the 9 silver needles shot up into the sky, like arrows piercing into the ceiling, buzzing and trembling. The king of medicine stared blankly at the ceiling, as if he was in a dream. The divine lunar needle was a unique skill of his sect, and he would not use it easily. But today, he was really stumped by Tang Zheng's difficult disease, so he used this skill. He never thought that this would be the result. After a long time, he smacked his lips and shifted his gaze to Tang Zheng's body. His eyes gradually lit up, like a hunter who saw his prey, or a gourmet who saw a delicacy. In short, he had an unprecedented interest in Tang Zheng. A doctor, especially a famous doctor like him, liked to treat difficult and complicated diseases the most. If he could cure the disease easily, he would not have much interest in treating it. Only this kind of difficult challenge could make his blood boil. At this moment, his blood was boiling, but some people felt as if they had fallen into an ice cave. After leaving the hospital, the more Boss Fan thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. He could not kill Tang Zheng, but when Tang Zheng woke up, he would not let him go. Although he did not have much contact with Tang Zheng, from his fighting style, he could tell that he was not a merciful person. If he did not take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to kill Tang Zheng, then he would definitely die. He clenched his teeth and went straight to Huang Xiang's residence. In fact, he did not want to see Huang Xiang, because he felt that the other's aura was becoming more and more strange, and that kind of cold feeling was like hell. But for his own life, he had to go to hell. He walked into Huang Xiang's villa, and a night wind blew, and a cold feeling hit him in the face, making him shiver. Damn, isn't the weather warmer? Why is it still so cold? He muttered, and looked up. The villa was pitch black. Looks like no one's home. I'll come back another day. Suddenly, a strange voice came from the dark room. Boss Fan, since you've come in. Big Head Fan quivered in fright. This voice was erratic, and the key point was that it sounded as if it had been squeezed out of a grave. There was a sinister feeling to it. However, he still managed to recognize that it was Huang Xiang's voice, even though it had changed a little. Young Master Huang, is that you? He asked nervously. It's me. Come in. As soon as he finished speaking, the tightly shut door opened by itself. The pitch-black door was like the bloody mouth of a ferocious beast. His heart trembled. He hesitated for a moment before walking in, saying, Young Master Huang, why didn't you turn on the lights? Is there no electricity in the house? Why are you looking for me? A gust of wind blew past, and a gust of cold air blew into Big Head Fan's ears. His whole body shivered, and he hurriedly turned his head to look. A gloomy face was right next to him, and he could see it clearly with the help of the moonlight. Ah! He screamed in fright and hastily retreated. What's your name? Are you afraid of me? Huang Xiang was like a shadow, and like a ghost, he appeared in front of him. Big Head Fan's heart trembled with fear. He was a gangster, so of course his courage was not small. However, facing the current Huang Xiang, he could not help but feel a chill in his heart. No. I'm not afraid. Big Head Fan mustered up his courage, not knowing if coming here today was the right decision. You're not afraid of me. I can see that you're actually very afraid of me. It's good that you're afraid of me. I like it when people are afraid of me. Huang Xiang let out a sharp and strange laugh. Big Head Fan wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and said, Young Master Huang, I'm here to tell you a big piece of good news. Tang Zheng was seriously injured in a car accident, and is currently lying unconscious in the hospital. Now is the best time to kill him. Tang Zhang. Huang Xiang's voice suddenly changed. It was abnormally cold, and the temperature in the room suddenly dropped. It made Big Head Fan feel as if he was in a world of ice and snow. Yes, it's Tang Zhang. Now that young Master Huang has made his move, he's dead for sure. Big Head Fan mustered up his courage and said while trembling with fear. Hee, the heavens are helping me. Now that I've achieved great success, I'll use his blood to celebrate. Huang Xiang madly laughed. Big Head Fan's heart beat rapidly, and he hurriedly flattered, "Congratulations, young Master Huang, congratulations, young Master Huang. From now on, no one in the ordinary balance will dare to oppose you. Tang Zhang is only the first step. I want to rule the ordinary balance, and the Ya family is my true enemy. However, I'll deal with this brat Tang Zhang first." Whoosh! A cold wind blew past, and Big Head Fan only saw a shadow flash. Huang Xiang had already disappeared from the door. Big Head Fan let out a sigh of relief and said to himself, "What kind of evil martial arts did young Master Huang practice? It's so strange." He hurriedly shook his head and stopped thinking about these messy things. Since young Master Huang had made his move, then Tang Zhang would definitely be finished. Big Head Fan's problem was solved, and now he had to think about how to deal with Lin Hu. When Nana returned home, she looked as if she had a lot on her mind and did not say a word. Mu Hongyan was confused. Why was this little girl so unhappy after going out? She hurriedly asked for the reason, but Nana did not answer. Instead, she thought for a while and said, "Mom, let's go to the hospital tomorrow, okay?" When Mu Hongyan heard this, she was shocked and asked, "Nana, are you not feeling well? Let's go to the hospital immediately." Nana shook her head, "It's not me. I want to see Big Brother tomorrow. Take me there." "Big Brother, is it the patient that Senior King of Medicine went to treat today?" Mu Hongyan asked curiously. Nana nodded seriously. Mu Hongyan breathed a sigh of relief and laughed involuntarily. "Why?" "Because Nana likes Big Brother." "Like?" Mu Hongyan snorted and laughed. Nana pouted and protested, "Don't laugh. I'm telling the truth." "Okay, I won't laugh. But isn't the patient unconscious? You didn't even talk to him. How can you like him?" "Because..." Nana wanted to say that it was because he was Big Brother Godly Doctor, but when she thought of the agreement between the two, she did not say it. She said coquettishly, "Anyway, I like him. Come with me tomorrow, Mom." "Okay, I'll go with you. We've been away from home for a while now. I'll take you to Ordinary Balance to play for a few days. Then we'll go home." "I don't want to go home. Hee, we've been away for so long. Grandpa will miss you." "Then, okay." Nana lowered her head. "But we must wait until Big Brother recovers before we leave." Mu Hongyan touched her daughter's head and smiled, "Okay, we'll do as you say. We'll go see your brother tomorrow." But she was really curious about this strange brother. Nana was weak and sickly since she was a child. She was shy with strangers. Except for the mysterious Big Brother Godly Doctor, she did not show much attachment and affection to others. King of Medicine did not dare to rashly use the Taiyin magic needle again after he failed. But he did not stop. He pinched and touched Tang Zhang here and there. In short, he almost touched Tang Zhang's body. If he knew, he might shudder. But a doctor had the heart of a parent. King of Medicine obviously did not have any bad intentions. Whoosh! A cold wind blew. King of Medicine suddenly stopped. He raised his head and stared at the door. There was another person there. He was covered in a large black coat and his face could not be seen clearly. The Medicine King furrowed his brows and went straight to the point. You came for him. The man in black was of course Huang Xiang. He was here to kill Tang Zheng. Looking at the old man, he was not afraid. Instead, he grinned hideously. Yes, so you'd better back off. You want me to back off? That depends on whether you have the ability to do so. You're pretending to be a ghost. You're evil and don't show your true face. King of Medicine said in disgust. You want to see my true face? That depends on whether you have the ability to do so. Before we start, can I ask why you want to kill him? Do you have a grudge against him? King of Medicine was so curious about Tang Zheng that he could not help asking. Leaving him in the world is a hidden danger. Of course, I have to get rid of the hidden danger. I have a lot of hatred against him. Huang Xiang had always thought that Tang Zheng and he practiced the same set of skills. Since this set of skills was so powerful, he certainly could not leave Tang Zheng alive. King of Medicine wanted to ask more, but Huang Xiang waved his hand impatiently and said, Old man, you have too many questions. Ask this boy when you're on the road to the netherworld. Huang Xiang moved quickly. He was as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of King of Medicine. King of Medicine was not slow either. With a tap of his heel, he rushed out with a whoosh. He was like a ferocious tiger descending the mountain, his aura was like a rainbow. 5 animal frolics was the practice method of imitating 5 animals. These 5 animals were the bear, crane, tiger, deer, and ape. King of Medicine used the tiger steps. The so-called dragon steps and tiger steps showed how powerful his momentum was. He stretched out his hands like the 2 sharp claws of a fierce tiger and directly grabbed Huang Xiang's chest. Huang Xiang laughed strangely and waved his hand. His 5 fingers turned into claws. Puff! 2 tearing sounds were heard. King of Medicine's shoulder was torn and bright red blood flowed out. Huang Xiang's chest was also broken. 5 bloody marks were dripping with blood, but his blood was black and red, which was very strange. You really are evil. King of Medicine stared at the black and red blood and his face became serious. What kind of skills are you practicing? Quack, of course it's a good skill to kill people. What, are you afraid? Evil. Everyone has the right to kill you. Today I will kill you here. King of Medicine spread his arms like a white crane spreading its wings. With a flap of his arms, a strong wind rose and the door of the ward was closed with a bang. Huang Xiang moved his feet and rushed up like a ghost. His cold breath filled the whole ward in an instant. 2 figures moved and flashed. In an instant, the room was full of shadows. Both of them were so fast that it was almost impossible to see them clearly. However, King of Medicine did not dare to be too far away from Tang Zheng. He was afraid that Tang Zheng would lure him away and kill Tang Zheng. Chapter 1897. Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Please wait for a moment. He clawed at Tang Zheng's chest. The King of Medicine looked desperate. It was over, but he didn't stop. Even if Tang Zheng was dead, he couldn't let the murderer go. His hisses smell like burning meat filled the air. A ray of red light, like a flame, slowly rose from Tang Zheng's body. Huang Xiang seemed to have met his nemesis or grabbed a red-hot soldering iron. His palms were smoking. He screamed and stepped back. Bang! With a muffled sound, he bumped into the King of Medicine's hand. He staggered and fell to the ground. He rolled and jumped up again, looking at Tang Zheng in horror. The red light had disappeared as if it had never appeared. But both of them knew that it was definitely not their illusion. They looked at each other as if to confirm what had just happened. The King of Medicine's heartstrings trembled. He had never heard of such a strange thing. Moreover, the flame-like red light seemed to be specially used to restrain Huang Xiang. Especially the smell of burning was still in the air. Huang Xiang picked up his hand and looked at it. It was charred black, and his skin was curled up. He was puzzled. His eyes gradually emitted a fierce light. He said, "Why can't I kill you? Why?" He roared at the top of his lungs, full of anger and unwillingness. The king of medicine breathed a sigh of relief. Although he did not understand what had happened, at least Tang Zhang's life was saved. He stood in front of the bed and did not let the other party get close to him. Dong dong dong. Hurried footsteps sounded outside the door. The police had arrived. The hospital had found out about the fight and had already called the police. The people inside, listen up. You have been surrounded. Put down your weapons and surrender. The police shouted. Huang Xiang was unmoved. He was not afraid of the police at all. He only gritted his teeth and looked at Tang Zhang. He said hatefully, "I will be back." Whoosh. After that, he jumped out of the window like a gust of wind. The king of medicine did not look. This height could not stop the other party. Come in. The criminal has already escaped. The king of medicine said loudly. The police rushed in vigilantly. The black muzzle of the gun was pointed at the king of medicine. The king of medicine said lightly, "I am the patient's family. The criminal has escaped." He pointed to the window. Several police rushed to the window. There was not even a shadow. But this was a 9-story building. If they jumped down, they would definitely be smashed to pieces. The police could not believe that the criminal had escaped from here. What the hell is going on? Deng Maokai swaggered in and asked sternly. This hospital was under his jurisdiction. When he received the call, he immediately rushed over. Nothing. Someone came in to cause trouble and was driven away. You can leave now. The king of medicine said. He did not want to deal with these people. He still had to concentrate on studying Tang Zhang's condition. Since the police had come, how could they leave so easily? Moreover, the doctor and nurse had seen a very fierce fight inside. Deng Maokai walked directly to the bedside and glanced at the bed casually. He was so scared that his pupils shrank and he almost stepped back. Why is it him again? He was really afraid of Tang Zhang. He had something on him, and he had crossed paths with him several times. It seemed that he could not avoid him even if he wanted to. He asked with fear, "What's wrong with him?" "He's sick." "Oh, is it serious?" Deng Maokai asked nervously. "He'll be fine in a few days." Deng Maokai shrank his neck. Since he would be fine in a few days, it was better not to provoke this devil, lest he be implicated again. Moreover, the other party obviously did not want the police to intervene. He pushed the boat with the current and was happy to leave this place as soon as possible. The ward was quiet again. The king of medicine quietly looked at Tang Zhang, pondering a new treatment plan. Although Tang Zhang himself could not move, his mind was very active. Since he was knocked unconscious, he had entered a wonderful world. It was as if he was standing at the mouth of a volcano. Endless flames burned in front of him, and the hot air waves almost ignited him. Tian Chanzi, come out. What's wrong with me? Why am I here? Tang Zhang shouted. Boy, don't shout. It's strange. You're imprisoned in the sea of consciousness. What's going on? Why is there a sea of fire in your sea of consciousness? Why didn't I notice it before? Tian Chanzi's voice sounded. He seemed to be very surprised by Tang Zhang's current situation. Sea of consciousness, sea of fire. Boy, in addition to the Dantian, the most important thing is the sea of consciousness. The sea of consciousness is in the brain, controlling people's thinking. The spiritual power I told you before is gathered in the sea of consciousness. Then why am I in the sea of consciousness? What's the matter with this sea of fire? How would I know? Tian Chanzi said angrily, "Boy, you're different from ordinary people. You're very strange. Hey, look at the sea of fire." Tang Zheng raised his eyes and looked over, only to see flames jumping up and down in the sea of fire. In the end, they turned into words. Burning body, kindling of fire. The 8 fiery words were particularly dazzling, firmly attracting Tang Zheng's attention. Kindling of fire. Tang Zheng was shocked. This was his pain. During this time, he had not found a way to ignite the kindling of fire, which made him a little depressed. Is it related to the kindling of fire? Tian Chanzi muttered to himself, as if he was thinking. After a moment, he said, "Kindling of fire, how can the sea of consciousness be related to the kindling of fire?" According to Tian Chanzi's knowledge, the sea of consciousness was only related to spiritual power and had nothing to do with the kindling of fire, but these 8 words clearly pointed out that the sea of consciousness was related to the kindling of fire. Strange, boy, you really can't be judged by common sense. You haven't been able to ignite the kindling of fire, so why don't you follow these instructions? How? Burning body, of course you have to jump into the sea of fire. Jump in. Tang Jing opened his eyes wide. Although he was only a strand of divine sense, facing this sea of fire, he still had an indescribable instinctive fear. What are you afraid of? You can only try. Moreover, your divine sense is imprisoned here. If you don't follow the instructions, what else can you do? Tian Chanzi said helplessly. Tang Zheng had previously tried to leave the sea of consciousness, but found that his divine sense was simply unable to jump out. This sea of consciousness seemed to have a kind of attractive force, firmly attracting him, making him not even aware of what was happening outside. He only remembered that in order to save Fang Shishir, he was hit by a car and came to this place. Okay, I'll go all out. Tang Jing walked towards the sea of fire step by step. The moment his foot stepped in, the flames rushed to his body with a whoosh. It was as if there was an accelerant on his body. In the blink of an eye, he was completely enveloped by the flames. He became a living person. An indescribable pain stimulated him, making him unable to help but scream. Boy, hold on. I think this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you. If you can get through it, maybe the problem of igniting the kindling of fire will be easily solved. Tian Chanzi encouraged him thoughtfully. Fuck, this feeling is too unbearable. Burning body, do you really want to burn me to ashes? Tang Jing cried out in pain. What are you shouting for? Quietly feel the changes and try to ignite the kindling of fire. Tian Chanzi said resolutely. This sea of fire made him think of a legend from tens of thousands of years ago. Legend has it that at that time, there was a race, each and every one of them had exquisite spells and magical powers. Moreover, this race's cultivation was completely different from that of ordinary people. Because of this, they were condemned by the public as heretics. This kind of heresy was of course ostracized and finally eliminated. This race completely ceased to exist. But the words left behind said that this race's kindling of fire was not in the Dantian, but in the sea of consciousness. Moreover, its power was enormous. Even if it was a person of the same cultivation level, it would far surpass other races. Tian Chanzi looked at the sea of fire and the sea of consciousness and thought hard. Finally, he remembered this legend. But he was not happy. Instead, a strong fear occupied his mind. Chapter 98. This kind of fear followed him like a shadow, making Tian Chanzi feel uneasy. Could it be that he is related to that race? That would be a huge disaster. Although it had been tens of thousands of years and many people didn't know about it, the powerful cultivators who had lived for countless years definitely wouldn't forget. They still had an instinctive rejection of this race. If they knew that a member of that race had appeared, they wouldn't sit idly by and would directly kill Tang Jing. Although Tian Chanzi couldn't figure out how Tang Jing could be a member of that race. No, I can't let others know about this. Looking at Tang Jing in the fire, Tian Chanzi made up his mind. He didn't have a strong feeling about the battle from tens of thousands of years ago, not to mention that he and Tang Jing had a close relationship, so he had to protect him. Tang Jing had already operated the ancient Clear Heaven Scroll, guiding his true qi to attack his dantian in an attempt to ignite the kindling. But when the true qi moved, it didn't flow to his dantian, but instead gathered in his knowledge sea. Like gasoline meeting fire, the true qi burned. His body was ignited from the inside out, and the more intense pain made him almost collapse. But he had suffered a lot since he was young, so he gritted his teeth and held on. Tian Chanzi, why didn't the true qi go to the dantian, but to the knowledge sea instead? How can I ignite the kindling? Tang Jing asked loudly. Tian Chanzi's voice was trembling. Tang Zhang's words undoubtedly confirmed his guess. He stabilized his mind and said, then lead the true qi into the knowledge sea. Don't worry about the dantian, try to ignite the kindling in the knowledge sea. Tang Jing was shocked. Igniting the kindling in the knowledge sea, is this possible? Why didn't you tell me before? How would I know that things would turn out like this? Hurry up, don't dawdle. Tian Chanzi unhappily urged. He didn't want to say more, because his mind was already in chaos. Tang Jing gradually stabilized his mind and guided his true qi bit by bit to gather in his sea of consciousness. In an instant, the flames became even fiercer and engulfed him. After an unknown amount of time, the flame became smaller and smaller. It turned from red to light purple, and finally became the size of a fingernail. It burned in the air and emitted a strange power. There were already a lot of people gathered in Tang Zhang's ward. Feng Xinyang rushed over as soon as she woke up. Originally, Yi Tianlei wanted to come as well, but was dragged away by Yi Xuanji to look for the godly doctor's whereabouts. However, she noticed that someone was earlier than her. Feng Shishir was already sitting by the bed. Feng Shishir seemed to have steeled her heart to accompany Tang Jing. If he did not wake up, then she would not go to class. This caused Shi Mengqin to almost explode, so she also followed along. The Feng family's investigation of the car accident did not yield any results, causing Shi Mengqin to be greatly disappointed. She originally hoped that the car accident was a self-directed and self-acted bitter play by Tang Jing, but her plan failed. However, today, she did not have the time to speak nonsense. Because from the moment she saw Feng Xinyang, she was like a mouse seeing a cat, not daring to be rash. Feng Xinyang did not even look at her. She only sighed inwardly. It would not be easy for her little girl to take down the little handsome guy. This Feng Shishir was chasing too closely. When she went back, she must teach her little girl a few tricks. However, this was not her main concern. She wanted to know how Tang Jing could wake up. Just as she was about to ask the king of medicine, she saw Mu Hongyan walk in with Nana. Nana was like a fluttering little butterfly, flying towards Tang Jing and continuously shouting, "Brother, Nana came to see you." Mu Hongyan's eyes flashed with a strange light. Her daughter's performance was far beyond her expectations. She could not help but carefully look at Tang Jing, but she did not find any clues. Senior King of Medicine, when will he wake up? Feng Shishir anxiously asked. Everyone's gaze turned towards the King of Medicine, including Shi Mengqin. However, in her heart, she disagreed. Where did these people find this Jianghu doctor? They were probably here to cheat money. At her level, she had never heard of the King of Medicine's name. Her level was not high enough, and she was ignorant and fearless. The king of medicine's face was filled with exhaustion. Last night, he had tossed and turned for the better half of the night, but he was still unable to find a feasible treatment method. The main reason was that his internal energy was unable to detect Tang Zhang's internal injuries. Just by looking at his appearance, he could not say for sure. I still need to carefully study it. His illness is too strange. The king of medicine solemnly said. Fang Shishi's heart thumped. Her expression was filled with concern as she anxiously said, Senior, you must cure him. I beg of you. I will do my best. Brother is very powerful. He will definitely be fine. Nana patted Fang Shishi's hand, acting like a little adult as she comforted her. In any case, I believe that he will get better soon. Moreover, he promised me. Before she finished speaking, Tang Zhang's voice rang out. Why are there so many people? In an instant, the room quieted down. Everyone's gaze turned towards him, all sorts of complex emotions intertwined. Tang Zhang scratched his head. What was going on? Just now, after the lavender flame formed in his knowledge sea, the shackles on his knowledge sea disappeared. He stared blankly at the lavender flame. Only then did he understand from Tian Chanzi's exclamation that he had finally ignited his fire seed. That flame was a first-grade true fire. It turned out that he had been looking in the wrong direction. His fire seed was not in his dantian. So even if he had spent a lot of effort, it was useless. But this time, after being hit by a car, he muddle-headedly entered this knowledge sea. He had unexpectedly ignited his fire seed by accident. So fortune and misfortune came hand in hand. If he did not want to save Fang Shishi, he would not have entered this knowledge sea. Then he did not know when he would be able to discover the mystery of his fire seed. Tang Zhang was somewhat glad. He was truly happy from the bottom of his heart. After igniting his fire seed, he could use the 9 revolving pill furnace to refine pills. But what made him feel strange was that Tian Chanzi did not seem to be too enthusiastic about igniting his fire seed. Instead, he was somewhat absent-minded. But he did not care. Since the shackles on his knowledge sea had disappeared, he naturally woke up. What entered his eyes was the large room full of people. He subconsciously asked, but this caused everyone to raise their eyebrows. Fang Shishi threw herself onto his body, crying tears of joy, You're finally awake. That's great, you're finally awake. Tang Zhang lightly patted her back and said, Don't cry, I'm fine. Is your body okay? He still remembered the situation at that time and was deeply afraid that she would also be injured. I'm fine. You saved me, so I won't argue with you anymore. I won't be angry with you anymore. Fang Shishi said while choking with sobs. Shi Mengqin saw this scene and was so angry that smoke was coming out of her 7 orifices. Finally, she could not help but angrily shout, Tang Zhang, let go of my daughter. What kind of scandal is this? Fang Shishi did not let go of Tang Zhang. Instead, she hugged him even tighter and quietly whispered in his ear, Ignore her. Seeing that the two people did not react and that Tang Zhang was hugging her daughter even tighter, Shi Mengqin's face became extremely gloomy. She directly rushed over to pull her daughter away. But she saw a figure flash and Feng Xinyang was already blocking her in front of the bed. She looked at her with a smile that was not a smile and said, Do you want to make a move? The one who will suffer will definitely be you. Shi Mengqin subconsciously retreated 2 steps. Her expression was uncertain as she said, I'm educating my daughter. What does that have to do with you? You educating your daughter is not related to me. But if you want to deal with that handsome little brother Tang Zhang, then I will have to interfere. You. Shi Mengqin was speechless. With swords drawn and bows bent, Tang Zhang patted Fang Shishi's back, indicating for her to get up. Only then did Fang Shishi reluctantly get up. This time, she hugged Tang Jing in front of so many people. She was a bit embarrassed, but sometimes it was hard to control herself and there was nothing she could do. "Mom, don't make a fuss," she advised, but these words were no different from adding fuel to the fire. As expected, Shi Mengqin pointed at her own nose and asked, "I'm making a fuss." "How am I making a fuss?" Sure, since he's awake, then hurry back to school and go to class." "I'm not going. I want to accompany him." Fong Sure held onto her hand, abnormally firm. "Big brother wants to accompany me." A childish voice sounded out. Nana took advantage of the fact that no one was paying attention to climb onto the bed. She threw herself onto Tang Zheng's body and sweetly smiled. "Big brother, you're finally awake." Nana already knew that Big Brother would definitely be fine. Big Brother is the most powerful person in the world. Nana's interruption caused the tense atmosphere to weaken by quite a bit. Many people subconsciously looked towards Nana and Tang Jing, only to see Tang Jing looking at Nana in shock. He subconsciously asked, "Nana, why are you here?" When his voice fell, Tang Jing realized that something was wrong. He actually called out her name in front of so many people. He should have pretended not to know her. As expected, several people looked at him at the same time. Mu Hongyan's entire body trembled as she finally recognized the voice. She pointed at him and said, You are." Tang Jing hurriedly coughed and gave Mu Hongyan a look. Mu Hongyan's heart understood and she swallowed the words that were about to come out of her mouth. However, everyone could clearly see the shock on her face. Mu Hongyan was simply too excited. Tang Zheng's voice was too familiar. This was the senior godly doctor that she had always been looking for. Moreover, he also called out Nana's name. Mu Hongyan was almost instantly sure of his identity. This also explained why Nana liked him so much. Mu Hongyan was truly surprised and happy. She did not know what to do and could only take a few steps forward. She gratefully and respectfully said, "It's really great to see you." Tang Jing nodded his head and smiled but did not say anything. However, the others were baffled by Mu Hongyan's reaction. Shi Mengqin was especially dumbstruck as if she had seen a ghost. After all, she still had some eyesight. From Mu Hongyan's temperament, she could tell that the other party was not simple. However, she was actually so respectful to Tang Zheng and even had a cautious feeling. This was simply inconceivable. She subconsciously pondered, why is this little brat so strange? How does he know so many powerful people? Feng Xinyang thoughtfully looked at the two people but did not interrupt. However, the king of medicine had already impatiently rushed forward. He extended his hand to grab Tang Zheng's wrist to investigate. Tang Zheng's nerves suddenly trembled. He flipped his wrist and instinctively pointed his finger. Like a sharp sword, it pierced forward. Chapter 99. The king of medicine let out a surprised cry as he quickly retracted his hand and said, "Don't misunderstand, I don't want to hurt you. I am a doctor and I just want to see what is wrong with your body." Tang Jing did not relax. As a doctor with a 9th stage natal stage cultivation, this was no longer an ordinary doctor. "Thank you, I am already well and do not need to be examined." Tang Zheng had 9 main meridians and this old man could easily find out. Moreover, his true energy and inner strength were completely different, so he could not casually let the other party examine him. The medicine unwillingly said, "Young man, you were unconscious for a few days. This is very strange and we have to figure it out. Otherwise, what will we do if there is any future trouble?" Tang Jing firmly shook his head. "I am clear about my own body, so there is no need, thank you." The king of medicine was unwilling as he looked towards Feng Xinyang, hoping that she would persuade him as he was too interested in Tang Jing. Feng Xinyang smiled as she knew that Tang Jing was not normal. Since he did not want others to examine him, then she could not force him and said, "Senior King of Medicine, since the little handsome brother is already well, then there is no need to examine him. This time it is all thanks to you." The King of Medicine regretfully shook his head and said, "I did not do much as he woke up on his own. But it really is strange, his body is too strange. Sure, help me get out of the hospital. Is identical to, continue, I want to leave the hospital." Tang Jing did not want to be surrounded by so many people, so he said, "You just woke up, how can you be in such a hurry to leave the hospital? I am already fine, look." Tang Jing directly got off the bed. See, he sucked in a breath of cold air as he felt a piercing pain in his ribs. "Who told you to be brave? You broke 2 ribs, do you know that?" Fong Shishi's eyes were red as she held onto his arm like a wife taking care of her husband. Shi Mengqin wanted to flip out, but in the end she controlled herself. Tang Jing felt that his ribs were indeed broken, but it was not a big problem. It was not convenient for him to be in the hospital. Besides, his grandfather was still at home, so it was better to go home and recuperate. Therefore, he continued to insist on being discharged from the hospital. Fong Shishi could not persuade him, so she could only go through the discharge procedures. "Thank you all for coming to see me. I appreciate your kindness. I will thank you one by one another day." Tang Jing nodded to the others. "Little handsome, you don't have to be so polite with me. Since you're awake, then I'm relieved. Our family's Ding Dang is also very worried about you. She came yesterday, and today, she also said that she wanted to come, but I drove her to school." Feng Xinyang said with a smile. At this time, he still had to show his concern for his daughter. Tang Jing felt warmth in his heart. In the past, when he was in trouble, only his grandfather cared about him. Now that so many people cared about him, he really felt good and warm. Mu Hongyan stared at him blankly. She finally mustered up her courage and said, "Can I talk to you in private?" "Okay." Tang Jing agreed. Since the other party had already recognized him, there was no way to hide this matter. The others could only leave the ward. The King of Medicine looked back 3 times as he walked, his eyes shining as he looked at Tang Jing. He was very reluctant to part with him. Tang Jing really did not understand who this old man was. In short, for this kind of expert, he was a little wary. "Senior Godly Doctor, I didn't expect to see you here, Mu Hongyan's expression became excited, and a little incoherent. Tang Jing waved his hand, indicating for her to calm down. He calmly said, "Perhaps this is God's will. Since you have seen my true face, then in the future don't call me senior. My name is Tang Jing, you can call me by my name." "How can that be? If you call me senior, what will others think, so it's better to call me by my name. Moreover, I hope you won't tell anyone about this." Tang Jing still wanted to keep a low profile. Mu Hongyan nodded to express her understanding. Nana, who had been holding Tang Jing's hand, shook it and said, "Big brother, I have never told our secret to anyone, including my mother." "I know, Nana is the most obedient." Tang Jing smiled bitterly. If Mu Hongyan did not personally come, perhaps this secret would continue to be kept. Mu Hongyan saw that the relationship between the two was so harmonious and relaxed a little. She smiled and said, "This little girl even keeps it a secret from me. She is closer to you than to me." "Mother is talking nonsense, I am equally close to the two of you," Nana hurriedly corrected. "Son." Tang Jing. Mu Hongyan subconsciously wanted to call him senior again, but in the end she changed her words and said, "The King of Medicine does not have any ill intentions, he is a highly respected doctor who has treated Nana before." This time he heard that she had recovered, so he rushed over. "Yesterday, it was Feng Xinyang who personally invited him to treat you." Tang Jing suddenly understood and glanced at the King of Medicine through the glass on the door. He found that even through the glass, the king of medicine's gaze was still burning. So he is a medical maniac, but I hope you can keep the fact that I cured Nana a secret. Tang Jing warned. Of course I will keep it a secret, but the king of medicine has always wanted to find you. He has an old friend who is suffering from a chronic illness and wants to ask you to treat him. Other than relying on the life-prolonging pill, Tang Zheng was not as good at treating common illnesses as a normal doctor, let alone this seemingly powerful king of medicine. He quickly shook his head and refused. No, my medical skills are not high, so I can't help you, so please keep my identity a secret. This. Tang Zheng, I have a presumptuous request. The king of medicine is a kind and benevolent person. He has saved many people and has also helped Nana a lot in the past. I can't bear to lie to him, so can you please make an exception? I promise that this matter will not be known to many people, only the king of medicine. After all, it is a matter of life and death. Tang Zheng hesitated. Tang Zheng, I know this request is too much, but I have experienced this kind of thing before. I know very well how desperate the patient and the other person's family feel. They really hope for a miracle and a glimmer of hope. Tang Zheng glanced at Nana. She was playing with Tang Zheng's fingers. When she saw him looking at her, she revealed a bright smile. It was extremely cute. He couldn't help but think of his grandfather. He gradually understood Mu Hongyan's feelings. Moreover, his grandfather had always taught him to be a good person. His heart softened and he said, Okay, but this matter can't be spread, only the few of us know. As for his old friend, we will arrange another time to treat him. Tang Zheng did not intend to force himself. If he could help, he would naturally help. If he couldn't, then it was the will of the heavens. Mu Hongyan hurriedly nodded and thanked him repeatedly. Tang Zheng sat in the Fong family's car and returned home. Fong Shishir supported him into the small house. Shi Mengqin disdainfully stood far away. This was her first time coming to this kind of place. She wanted nothing more than to run away, but she couldn't. Otherwise, there would only be one man and one woman left. God knows what would happen. I really don't have any major problems. It doesn't hurt much anymore. Tang Zheng sat down. Seeing Fong Shishir's pained expression, he hurriedly said. Your bones are all broken. How can it be so easy? Be good and lie down on the bed. Fong Shishir did not have any resistance to this simple and crude house. She gently helped him onto the bed and even personally took off his shoes. Tang Zheng was helpless. He could only lie on the bed and watch her busy figure. His heart felt warm. Shishir, come over and sit for a while. He waved his hand. Fong Shishir obediently sat by his side. Are you still angry at me? Fong Shishir hurriedly shook her head. No, I won't be angry at you anymore. I know you treat me well. We won't listen to other people's gossip. Good, that's good. Tang Zheng held her hand, completely satisfied. Bo. Fong Shishir kissed him and said, This time you really scared me to death. You should rest well. I'll go back to school first, otherwise my mom will start screaming again. Okay, I'll rest well. Tang Zheng hugged her waist and kissed her lips. She also responded fiercely, and only after a long while did she part with the desire to continue. You're injured yet you're still not obedient. Rest well. Once you're better, you can do whatever you want. I'll listen to you. Fong Shishir finished speaking. Her face turned red all the way to her neck. Tang Zheng's heart beat faster as he asked, Really? Guess for yourself. Fong Shishir charmingly smiled. She turned around and ran out of the door, leaving only her beautiful back. It seems that I need to quickly heal and get better. Tang Zheng excitedly thought. Little brat, you're finally enlightened. Tian Chanzi once again appeared. Quickly take down this little girl. The problem of your pure yang energy eruption can be temporarily solved. Eavesdropping is a bad habit. That won't do. I'm already a 4th grade refining chi cultivator. I need to practice the sealing technique. When the time comes, I'll seal you so you can't see what you shouldn't see. Tang Jing said. Tian Chanzi indignantly shouted, "Little brat, do you think I'm a hoodlum? I'm a high-level cultivator. Do you think I don't understand the principle of not looking at indecent things? High-level cultivator. Humph, I think you're no different from a hoodlum." Tang Jing retorted, "Quickly teach me the sealing technique and also how to use true fire to refine pills. Little brat, don't be in a hurry to cultivate. I have something important to tell you." Tian Chanzi's voice became deep and serious. "What is it?" "Little brat, your body is strange. You know that the average person's true fire is in their dantian, but yours is in their sea of consciousness. Do you know why there is such a huge difference?" "Why?" "You and I are not the same kind of people." "Nonsense, I'm a young man. You're a 1,000-year-old monster." "Nonsense, I'm saying that you and I are not of the same race," Tian Chanzi said, flustered and exasperated. "Not of the same race? Don't tell me you're not a human, but a monster. Don't pester me endlessly. Humans are also divided into many races. Just like how there are many races now. A long time ago, many races coexisted in an environment, but they fought with each other. In the end, only one race remained, which is the current human race." "You mean I'm not a human?" "I don't know the specifics. After all, tens of thousands of years have passed. In short, the secret of your body must not be known to outsiders. Otherwise, you will be killed. Just like the king of medicine from before, although his skill is not very profound, after all, his medical skills are superb. If you let him examine your body, it will be easy for him to find some clues. Of course, for things that happened thousands of years ago, he certainly doesn't know, but this is also a risk that must be avoided. Do you understand?" Tian Chanzi warned. Tang Zheng was dumbfounded. It was a bit difficult for him to accept this information. How did he become non-human? Chapter 100. After a long time, Tang Jing finally digested this information, but he gradually understood that his strange body had so many secrets, and these secrets were fatal. But your race's cultivation is very abnormal, just like you, advancing by leaps and bounds. You're simply not human. Oh, you're not human." Tian Chanzi sighed. "Fuck, you're not human," Tang Jing angrily said. "Calm down, in fact this is not a bad thing, after all your cultivation speed is fast. As long as you have strength, even if your identity is exposed, others will not be able to do anything to you." Tian Chanzi comforted. "It's not you, of course you're not worried, but what should I do now?" "Speed up your cultivation, become stronger before others find out your secret, the stronger the better. You and I are of the same mind, so you don't have to worry about me leaking your secret. This time you broke through to the 4th grade refining chi, I also obtained a lot of benefits. My soul has become a lot stronger, and in time I will be able to find a suitable host and be reborn." Tang Zheng's mood gradually calmed down. There was no use in worrying about this matter, so he decided to cultivate, regardless of his injuries. First was the sealing technique. Tian Chanzi reluctantly passed it on to him. He tried it several times, and it was very useful. As long as he silently recited the incantation and activated his true chi, Tian Chanzi could only shut up and be sealed. This made Tian Chanzi so angry that he cried out, scolding him for being ungrateful. How could he use him as an experiment? Tang Jing shrugged his shoulders and ignored him. In any case there was no one else to test the sealing technique on, so he could only use Tian Chanzi to test it. In the end, Tian Chanzi could only silently protest. The next step was to use his true fire to refine pills. He took out the 9 revolving pill furnace from under the bed. The furnace was pitch black and covered with a layer of dust. For the 9 revolving pill furnace to be thrown under the bed by you, it is truly a waste. Tian Chanzi bitterly said. Tang Jing shrugged and said, this room is only so big. Where else can I put it if I don't put it under the bed? Don't talk nonsense. How should I use this thing? Circulate your power and inject your true qi into it. Tang Jing circulated the ancient clear heaven scroll and a stream of true qi flowed out from his palm into the 9 revolving pill furnace. Wang! A melodious sound echoed as the 9 revolving alchemy furnace soared into the air. Its pitch-black exterior emitted a layer of black light as it slowly rotated. This pill furnace has been covered in dust for a long time. You must first awaken its spirituality before you can refine pills. Tang Jing suddenly realized that this true qi was the method used to awaken the spiritual nature of the pill furnace. The 9 revolving pill furnace spun faster and faster until it finally turned into a black light and a little bit of blue light seeped out from the black light. It was like a piece of black cloth wrapped around a light bulb. The light from the light bulb passed through the black cloth and grew more and more. In the end, the black light disappeared and a green light filled the entire room. The melodious buzzing sound was like the sound of ancient temple bells, making people feel relaxed and happy. Stop! Tang Jing lightly waved his hand and the 9 revolving alchemy furnace stopped rotating and steadily stopped on the ground. The blue light gradually converged as its exterior underwent a tremendous change. The originally swarthy exterior had turned into a blue color and emitted a faint ancient aura. Moreover, one could clearly see that there were many birds and beasts engraved on the exterior of the pill furnace. Most of them were creatures that Tang Jing had never heard of before, so he simply did not know what they were. This is the true appearance of the 9 revolving alchemy furnace. Tian Chanzi proudly said. Tang Jing was dumbstruck. After awakening the spiritual nature of the pill furnace, it unexpectedly underwent a heaven and earth change. If it was like this during the auction, then he definitely would not have been able to obtain it. Fortunately, the treasure furnace was covered in dust, so I was able to pick it up. He rejoiced. You should be thanking me. If it wasn't for me, then you wouldn't have this kind of dog shit luck. Tian Chanzi unceremoniously boasted. But I also have bad news to tell you. What? This 9 revolving alchemy furnace has been damaged and its quality has dropped by a lot. It unexpectedly became a yellow-level treasure. Tian Chanzi regretfully said. Tang Jing turned pale with fright and said, What, didn't you say it was an earth-level treasure? Treasures were divided into 4 ranks, heaven, earth, profound, and yellow. In other words, the 9 revolving alchemy furnace actually dropped from second place to last place. Tian Chanzi awkwardly coughed and explained, wasn't it covered in dust? That's why I misjudged it. Tang Jing was speechless. Little brat, don't be so unhappy. A yellow-level treasure is more suitable for you. Do you think an earth-level treasure is so easy to control? You need to have the appropriate cultivation and enough qi. You don't have enough right now, so using a yellow-level treasure to consolidate your foundation is the right way to go. Tang Jing coldly snorted. In any case, he did not understand these things, so he could only let him say whatever he wanted. However, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. This was still a treasure after all. He fondly touched the 9 revolving alchemy furnace and felt extremely good. He finally had a treasure, his first treasure. Although this 9 revolving alchemy furnace has become a yellow-level treasure, it used to be an earth-level treasure. So in the future, you can find a way to repair it and turn it back into an earth-level treasure. That's possible. Of course, treasures can be upgraded. Don't you know this? Tian Chanzi proudly said. You didn't say so, how would I know? Tang Jing retorted. Tian Chanzi acted as if he did not hear and continued, when refining pills, you will draw the fire into the furnace. The refining method is the same as when you refine the life-continuing pill. Then I will first refine the spirit pill. Tang Jing impatiently said. First get the materials. Right, what materials do you need? Tian Chanzi pulled out a long list of materials. Fortunately, they were all materials that could be bought in pharmacies. Tang Jing let out a sigh of relief. Refining pills requires a guiding herb, which is the most important ingredient. The spirit pill does not require something as precious as the heaven-fragrant flower. It only needs a 300-year-old ginseng. 300-year-old. Tang Jing was dumbstruck. Even if he did not understand the market, he knew that 300-year-old ginseng was not easy to find. It was a treasure that could only be found by chance. Tian Chanzi actually said that it was not precious and was sloppy. It's only 300-year-old. You should know that there were many thousand-year-old ginseng. What is this, country bumpkin, making a fuss about nothing? Tian Chanzi said disapprovingly. That was in ancient times. You also know that the spiritual energy is thin now. Where would you find this 300-year-old ginseng? Tang Jing was very depressed. Heaven never bars one's way. Let's find it. Moreover, don't you still have 900,000 left? Use this money to buy it. Buy my ass. 300-year-old ginseng. You want to buy it with 900,000? Dream on. Tian Chanzi laughed and said, then that is not my problem. In any case, I have already told you the recipe. Tang Jing was worried about the ginseng. On the other hand, the king of medicine was shocked by the news he heard. He never would have thought that this strange youth was actually that mysterious godly doctor. Suddenly, he became even more interested in Tang Jing. He wanted to slice him up and study him carefully. It was really too shocking. Senior King of Medicine, at that time I promised Tang Jing that this matter would not be spread, so please do not tell too many people. When the time comes, just arrange for your old friend to treat him. Mu Hongyan said. I will definitely keep it a secret. Since his medical skills are so high, then I will find a chance to compare notes with him. The King of Medicine said excitedly. He then impatiently contacted Yi Xuanji and told him that he had found the godly doctor. He would bring him to visit the godly doctor tomorrow. Yi Xuanji was very excited. There was finally a glimmer of hope. After Yi Tianlei heard the news, he was also very happy. The next day, he drove Yi Xuanji and the King of Medicine to their destination. Yi Xuanji looked out the window. Although his expression was very calm, there was still a strange expression on his face. The King of Medicine understood his feelings. He patted him on the shoulder and said, Old brother, I think your hope is on this person. This person is too mysterious. Even I don't know the details. Who is this person? How come I have never heard of him? Yi Xuanji asked curiously. A rising star. It is true that the new generation excels the old. Anyway, this time I have learned something new. I can't miss a single detail later. Who knows, maybe my medical skills will also improve by leaps and bounds. The King of Medicine was not stingy with his praise and said expectantly. Yi Xuanji had never seen the King of Medicine praise someone so much. His confidence increased a lot. Why is this place getting more and more desolate? Does the godly doctor really live here? Yi Xuanji looked at the row upon row of low buildings. There was no bustling city center at all. The King of Medicine took a look and felt a little strange. However, this was the address he got from Fang Shusher, so it shouldn't be wrong. Maybe he likes to live in seclusion. The King of Medicine casually explained. However, when their car stopped in front of the low bungalow, the three of them had a weird expression. The surroundings were really too dilapidated. How did it look like a place where a godly doctor lived? It looked more like a place where a garbage collector lived. They didn't guess wrong. Tang Zhang's family originally made a living by collecting garbage. The three of them looked at each other and were a little confused. However, since they were already here, they had to make things clear. Yi Tianlei walked straight to the door and saw an old man walk out. "Sir, may I ask?" Yi Tianlei's words stopped abruptly. It was as if someone had stuck his throat. He stared straight at the old man in front of him. "Are you Tang Zhang's grandfather?" Yi Tianlei asked in disbelief. He had seen Tang Dehai before. At that time, Tang Dehai was lifeless and his vitality was almost exhausted. Moreover, he was very old. However, although the person in front of him looked very similar to Tang Dehai, his vitality was very different. Even the wrinkles on his face were not as many. Yi Tianlei even suspected that this person was Tang Dehai's younger brother. Tang Dehai looked at the three of them suspiciously and asked, "I am. Who are you looking for?" Yi Tianlei was even more incredulous when he heard the confirmation. When Tang Zhang said that his grandfather had recovered, he didn't believe it. However, when he saw the real person, he knew that he had really recovered. This kind of vitality was definitely not that of a patient. One must know that Tang Dehai was a person who was judged by the doctor to not have many days left to live. However, the truth was in front of him and he had to believe it. Before Yi Tianlei could answer, the king of medicine rushed to Tang Dehai as if he had seen a delicious cake. Chapter 101. The king of medicine held on to Tang Dehai's wrist. His expression became strange as he muttered to himself, "Magical, too magical, a withered tree rejuvenated, full of life. This medical skill is too magical, this old man is ashamed of his inferiority." Sogu, 360, search free download of novels. The few people were shocked by the king of medicine, but when they heard him muttering to himself, they were deeply shocked. Especially Yi Xuanji. He had known the king of medicine for most of his life, but he had never seen him say words of inferiority to anyone. The king of medicine had always been the one standing at the top, others could not even look up to him, but he actually took the initiative to admit his inferiority. This was too inconceivable. But Yi Xuanji suddenly had a greater hope. This showed that the godly doctor was brilliant, maybe he really could be saved. Tang Dehai looked at him blankly and asked, "Excuse me, what's the matter?" The king of medicine looked at Tang Dehai excitedly and said, "Did you have a serious illness in the past, and your life was almost cut off, but in the end, you were cured by someone with magical medical skills?" Tang Dehai was shocked and said, "I was sick before, but the doctor in the hospital cured me, and now I feel like I have endless energy." "Which doctor?" "This I don't know, you'll have to ask my grandson." "Little Zheng, quickly come out." Tang Dehai shouted. Tang Zheng had long heard the commotion outside, especially the king of medicine. He knew that he must have brought a patient here, and thought that since he had to treat his but as soon as possible, he walked out. But when he saw Yi Xuanji and Yi Tianlei, his gaze turned cold. What were they doing here? Suddenly, his heart moved, remembering that Yi Tianlei wanted him to treat Yi Xuanji's illness. Could it be that the king of medicine's old friend was Yi Tianlei? He instantly figured out the details, and his face naturally became ugly. He nodded towards Yi Tianlei and asked, "Uncle Yi, why are you here?" Yi Tianlei smiled and said, "Senior king of medicine found a godly doctor, so I brought my father here to seek treatment." Yi Xuanji coldly looked at Tang Zheng. "Why is this brat here again?" Because Tang Zheng messed up the marriage he arranged for Yi Dingdang, he did not have a good impression of Tang Zheng. "Oh, there's no genius doctor here. You've come to the wrong place," Tang Zheng lightly said. However, the king of medicine was one step ahead of him. He walked up to Tang Zheng and laughed. If I still had doubts yesterday, I really have no doubts at all after seeing this old man today. Xuanji, my old friend, your illness will be in the hands of this miracle-working doctor. Yi Xuanji followed the king of medicine's finger and saw that it was pointing at Tang Zheng. Even though Yi Xuanji had been through countless hardships, he almost tripped at this moment. Are you kidding me? How could the genius doctor be this brat? Yi Tianlei was stunned for a moment, and then he suddenly realized. He believed in Tang Zheng's skills. It was really like searching high and low for something, only to find it by chance. In the end, it still fell on Tang Zheng's head. Ha, Tang Zheng, so the genius doctor senior king of medicine was talking about is you. I was wondering when another genius doctor appeared in ordinary balance. So it was you, brat. I've seen your medical skills before, so you can definitely do it. Yi Tianlei laughed. The king of medicine curiously turned his head and looked at Yi Tianlei. He asked, You've seen his medical skills before? Of course, he helped me open up my meridians. That's why I was able to break through the bottleneck of innate stage. Yi Tianlei explained. The king of medicine's eyes lit up. He praised, so there's such a thing. Since you know his medical skills, why didn't you ask him to treat your father earlier? This time, if it wasn't for a freak combination of factors, we really wouldn't have been able to find this genius doctor. This. Yi Tianlei's expression stiffened. He glanced at his father. Wasn't it because Yi Xuanji rejected Tang Zheng? Otherwise, why would he go through so much trouble? Yi Xuanji's face was filled with embarrassment. He hadn't had this expression for many years. As a person of high status, he had always been resolute and decisive. Others had to look at his face when they did things. When had he ever been so embarrassed? He really wanted to find a hole to hide in. However, Yi Xuanji wasn't an ordinary person. He coughed and softened his tone. There's a bit of a misunderstanding. The king of medicine glanced at the few people and understood that there must be some inside story. He quickly laughed and acted as a peacemaker, saying, Since it's a misunderstanding, let's just let it go. Now that we've found the genius Dr. Tang Zheng, all the problems will be solved. Tang Zheng sneered and unexpectedly said, Misunderstanding? Why don't I think it's a misunderstanding? Tang Zheng's cold attitude made the few people's expressions change. Especially Yi Xuanji. Being bullied by a junior like this made the veins on his forehead bulge. Of course, Tang Zheng saw his reaction, but didn't take it seriously. He said to the king of medicine and Yi Tianlei, Senior king of medicine, Uncle Yi, if you don't mind, please come in and have a seat. The king of medicine had already heard some clues. It seemed that this misunderstanding wasn't small, and Tang Zheng deliberately didn't invite Yi Xuanji to embarrass him. In this world, the only people who dared to embarrass Yi Xuanji, other than those old guys, had never dared to challenge Yi Xuanji's dignity. This Tang Zheng was really getting more and more interesting. Yi Xuanji's face was gloomy. He was about to flip out. This was a blatant disregard and a slap in the face. Yi Tianlei looked at his father awkwardly. Tang Zheng acted as if he didn't see it and turned around to go back into the house. At this moment, Tang Dehai seemed to have lost his soul. When did his grandson become a godly doctor? How come he didn't know? Moreover, these people seemed to have an extraordinary status and they were so respectful towards Tang Zheng. He also felt a sense of pride. Seeing the awkward atmosphere, he immediately realized that there was a problem. Even though Tang Dehai picked up trash for a living, he still had the survival wisdom of a lower-class citizen. He wasn't an idiot, so he quickly invited them in. Come in and sit. The house is a bit narrow, so don't mind. Would there be anyone who would dare to mind? Seeing Tang Zheng's attitude, if anyone dared to say even half a word of disdain, they would definitely be mercilessly kicked out. After all, these three people were much more cultured than Shi Mengqin. Even though this simple environment was incompatible with them, they still entered the house. Yi Xuanji also took advantage of the situation and followed in. Little Zheng, quickly pour water for the guests. Tang Dehai ordered. Tang Zheng wouldn't go against his grandfather's wishes and poured water for the three people. I'm really sorry, we don't have tea at home so we can only drink water. Tang Dehai said apologetically. As a simple and honest old man, if there were guests in the house, he would naturally want to use the best things to greet them. If he didn't treat them well, he would feel especially embarrassed. This was the most simple way of thinking for a normal person. No need to go through so much trouble. Yi Tianlei drank a mouthful and awkwardly laughed. He had no idea how today's situation would develop. Yi Xuanji was like a wooden person. He didn't even touch the cup with his finger. His two eyes stared straight ahead without any expression. The king of medicine laughed and took the initiative to break the silence, saying, "Yesterday I didn't have a good chat with this little friend. Today we must chat to our heart's content." Tang Jing said without batting an eyelid, "Senior king of medicine, you are the titan of the medical world and I am just an insignificant high school student. I don't think we have anything in common." Haha, that's not necessarily true. My thoughts are not pedantic and I am also very interested in learning about you young people. Moreover, we are both people who study medicine. In terms of professional knowledge, there are many things that we can discuss. The king of medicine said disapprovingly. I'm afraid I have to disappoint you. In terms of medical knowledge, I only know a little. Compared to the average medical student, I'm much worse. I'm sorry to disappoint you. Tang Zheng said honestly. He studied alchemy and not the various diseases of medical school. The king of medicine obviously didn't believe him and thought that the other was being modest. He said, "Little friend is too modest. Just based on the fact that you cured your grandfather, Tianlei and Nana, you are already worthy of the title of godly doctor." Tang Dehai had been in a daze the entire time. When he heard that his illness was actually cured by Tang Jing, he looked at him in confusion. It was just an accident. Tang Jing didn't take the credit. The king of medicine slowly shook his head and sighed. It's rare to have such ability at such a young age and not be arrogant and complacent. It's too rare. If I had such a successor, even if I died, would have no regrets. Although the king of medicine's medical skills were superb, he didn't have a successor. These years, he had been running around looking for a successor, but he couldn't find a suitable candidate. Yi Tianlei's eyelids twitched as he looked eagerly at Tang Jing. It seemed that he wanted Tang Jing to agree to be the disciple of the king of medicine. This was an opportunity that many people who studied medicine dreamed of. But Tang Jing turned a blind eye and didn't seem to be moved at all. The king of medicine squeezed out a lonely smile and said, "But I can see the legendary life-continuing pill before I die. This already makes me have no regrets." Tang Jing didn't change his expression. Since the other party came looking for him, he obviously knew about the life-continuing pill. So he said, "Since you know about the life-continuing pill, then just say it. This is all because of the life-continuing pill, it has nothing to do with me." Hearing that the other party directly admitted the existence of the life-continuing pill, the king of medicine couldn't suppress his excitement and asked nervously, "Do you still have it? Can I take a look?" This was like a child seeing his favorite toy and wanted to look at it. Tang Jing hesitated for a moment, then took out a porcelain bottle from his pocket and handed it to the king of medicine. The king of medicine's body suddenly sat up straight. He stretched out his hands and carefully took the porcelain bottle. His face was serious and solemn, just like a religious disciple holding a holy object. The others couldn't help but be attracted by the porcelain bottle. They stared at it without blinking, especially Yi Xuanji. Even his breathing became a little chaotic. They didn't know what the life-continuing pill was, but if it could make the king of medicine so serious, then it must be something extraordinary. Tang Jing didn't look sideways. His eyes looked straight ahead as if the porcelain bottle was nothing in his eyes. Comparing the two, Tang Zheng's aura was clearly much higher than the others. Tian Chanzi said with disdain, "It's just a life-continuing pill. Why are they making it so grand? They really are a group of country bumpkins who haven't seen the world." Chapter 102. The king of medicine slowly placed the bottle in his palm and slightly tilted it. A perfectly round pill rolled into his palm. It was sparkling and translucent, emitting a faint fragrance like a pearl. The king of medicine's eyes stared straight at the life-continuing pill. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva and excitedly said, "This is the life-continuing pill." Everyone else also focused their attention, especially Yi Xuanji. He had already determined the effects of this pill from the 3 words life-continuing pill. His hand subconsciously grabbed onto the chair as his veins bulged, revealing his true feelings. Yi Tianlei praised, "This life-continuing pill is really beautiful. What does it do?" Since it's called the life-continuing pill, of course it's used to extend life. The king of medicine said as he looked at Tang Jing, as if he wanted to ask for confirmation. Tang Jing nodded and said, "This life-continuing pill can extend one's life by 10 years. Hiss. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, especially the king of medicine, Yi Xuanji, and Yi Tianlei. The 3 of them were all too clear on what this meant. Other people said that the king of medicine had the ability to revive the dead and regrow flesh and bones, but that was just an exaggeration. But this life-continuing pill was truly miraculous. It could extend one's life by 10 years. Just how precious was this pill? It simply couldn't be measured with money. There were so many rich and powerful people in the world. If they could extend their lives by 10 years, they would be willing to go bankrupt. Who wouldn't want to live? Everyone's hearts began to beat wildly. Yi Xuanji's fingers almost sunk into the wood of the chair. He desired the life-continuing pill the most because he didn't have much time left. If he wanted to live, he would even steal it. But in front of his life, what was stealing? The king of medicine's breathing also became hurried. Seeing this legendary pill, he even had the urge to swallow it. He took a deep breath and put the life-continuing pill back into the porcelain bottle. Everyone's eyes were attracted to the porcelain bottle. For a long time, they were unwilling to move away until Tang Jing casually put the porcelain bottle back into his pocket. What was a priceless treasure in the eyes of others was like a small toy to him, and he was not as cautious as the others. This comparison made the others feel that Tang Jing was even more unfathomable. Even Yi Tianlei, who was very familiar with Tang Jing, couldn't help but change his impression of Tang Jing. "May I ask, how is this life-continuing pill made?" The king of medicine took a deep breath and asked. He felt that this question was very presumptuous. How could he tell others how to make such a priceless treasure? Of course, Tang Jing knew the method, but how could he say it? He wouldn't even tell anyone that he was the one who refined it. He understood the principle of treasuring a jade ring becomes a crime. So, he directly shook his head and said, "I don't know." The king of medicine couldn't hide the disappointment on his face and said, "Then who gave it to you?" "Someone else." "Is it your master?" Yi Tianlei asked. He still had a deep impression of Tang Zheng's mysterious master. Tang Zheng laughed inwardly and nodded seriously, "Yes. Godly doctor, your master must be a godly doctor, an expert." The king of medicine exclaimed. Heaven Monk chuckled and said, "This brat still knows how to talk. He knows that my abilities are great." In his eyes, the medicine king who was over 70 years old was just a brat. Narcissist. Tang Jing choked him. I want to pay a visit to your master, may I? The king of medicine was really like a religious pilgrim, respectful and reverent. How could Tang Jing make a groundless master out of nowhere? He directly shook his head. No, my master travels the world, I don't even know where to find him. The king of medicine's face dimmed. He shook his head and sighed. What a pity, such an expert. If I could get a few pointers from him, my medical skills would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. Then how many life-continuing pills do you have? Yi Xuanji finally couldn't help but ask. Right now, he only had eyes for the life-continuing pill. This was a treasure that could save his life. Tang Jing gave him a playful look and said, there's only one. Only one. Yi Xuanji couldn't hide his disappointment. If there were a few more pills, it would increase his lifespan by a few decades. Then the Ya family would definitely suppress the other families and become the #1 family. At any time, Yi Xuanji would always consider the interests of his family. The king of medicine looked at Yi Xuanji and hesitantly asked, little friend, there is a problem with grandfather Ye's cultivation, so he needs the life-continuing pill to pass this stage. I wonder if you can give the pill to him. Of course, there is a price. You sold it to Nana for 200,000, I believe the Ya family won't sell it for less than that. Yi Xuanji was shocked, a single life-continuing pill was only sold for 200,000 gold coins, this price was a bit too low. But at this time, he didn't think too much about it, the most important thing was to obtain the life-continuing pill, so he waved his hand and boldly said, 2 million, sell the life-continuing pill to me. Actually, he could give a higher price, but the other pill was only sold for 200,000. If the price was too high, he was worried that Tang Jing would raise the price and have the opposite effect. Tang Jing gave a low laugh and said, what a big deal, 2 million. Yi Xuanji was full of confidence. 2 million, many people wouldn't be able to earn that much in their lifetime. For a high school student, the temptation was self-evident. Moreover, Tang Zheng's family wasn't well off, so the temptation was even greater. Yi Xuanji was full of confidence, especially when he heard that Tang Jing had already sold a pill. This showed that he was obsessed with money. Everyone looked at Tang Jing attentively. On the contrary, Tang Dehai wasn't too nervous. It was as if 2 million was no different from his $200. Give me the life-continuing pill and I'll call someone to give you the money. Yi Xuanji said. The corner of Tang Zheng's mouth raised and he suddenly laughed. Everyone looked at him with a complicated expression, waiting for his answer. Not selling. The laughter suddenly stopped as Tang Jing firmly said. Not selling. Everyone was shocked. Yi Xuanji's heartstrings trembled as he hurriedly asked, how can you not sell? The item is mine. If I say I'm not selling, then I'm not selling. Tang Jing said without any trace of politeness. Yi Xuanji's face immediately turned purple as he gasped for breath. The matter that he was originally confident in was ruined. Yi Xuanji clenched his teeth and said, how much do you want? I'll give it to you. For the sake of his life, he didn't take the initiative to offer a price. He wanted to see what kind of price Tang Jing would offer. Throwing money is it? I like money, but why should I sell it to you? This thing has a price but no supply. However much you offer, others will also give you. Then what do you want? Yi Xuanji suppressed his anger and asked. He was already sure that Tang Jing was deliberately making things difficult for him. Nothing. I don't want to sell it to you. It's that simple. Tang Jing didn't care about the other party's identity. Yi Xuanji had always been high and mighty. Moreover, he actually went to the school gate to block him. Tang Jing still hadn't vented his anger. Tang Jing wasn't someone who would seek revenge for the smallest grievance. He even listened to his grandfather's teachings and was a very magnanimous person. However, for someone like Yi Xuanji who had been in a high position for a long time to look down on an ordinary person like him made him very unhappy. If you make me unhappy, then I can also make you unhappy. It's that simple. This rejection was so direct that it made the others a little confused. Why would he reject such a large sum of money? The king of medicine looked at him in astonishment. He didn't understand why he was willing to sell to Nana but not to Yi Xuanji. Yi Tianlei looked at Tang Jing with a complicated expression. He guessed the reason and couldn't help but secretly sigh. He advised, Tang Jing, the old man really needs the life-continuing pill. If you have any requests, we will do our best to satisfy you. Tang Jing still shook his head and said, Uncle Yi, if you need the life-continuing pill, I can give it to you for free. However, if he wants it, I won't sell it to him no matter how much it costs. Yi Tianlei was speechless. Yi Xuanji's face was extremely gloomy as he asked, Why? Tang Jing glanced at him and bluntly said, How you treated me before, you know it yourself. Moreover, why would I save someone who doesn't even care about his own granddaughter's happiness? I'm doing this for the benefit of the family. What do you know? Tang Jing laughed, For the benefit of the family, you can sacrifice your family's happiness. Very good, so this is the so-called family. I've really learned something. Then what's the point of staying in this kind of family? If it was me, I would leave this kind of family as far as possible. Yi Xuanji's eyes were already red. He was angry and was about to flip out. Tang Jing didn't seem to notice. He even looked at him and said, What, you want to steal it? Of course I'm not your opponent. If you want to steal it, I can't do anything. However, this just proves the hypocrisy and evil of people like you. Tang Zhang's eloquence was pretty good. He made Yi Xuanji speechless. It was because Tang Zhang held the moral high ground that Yi Xuanji couldn't refute. Ignorant brat, arrogant. I am arrogant. I'm not even a member of your family. What can you do about me? Tang Zhang was really arrogant. Yi Tianlei broke out in a cold sweat. He never dared to speak to his father like this. If you don't want to steal it, then forgive me for not seeing you off. Tang Jing directly asked him to leave. Yi Xuanji looked at Tang Jing coldly. His murderous intent was exposed. He really felt like he was going to kill and steal it. However, Tang Jing still had a smile on his face and didn't move. Let's go. Suddenly, Yi Xuanji turned around and left. Yi Tianlei let out a long sigh. He nodded at Tang Jing and chased after him. The king of medicine looked at Tang Jing with a complicated expression. He didn't know what to say. After thinking for a while, he said, If you are interested in learning from each other, I'm happy to. Moreover, your body is special. If you have any questions, you can come to me. The next time you see your master, I hope you can introduce him to me. Since Tang Jing wasn't a real genius doctor, there was no need for the king of medicine to continue the conversation. Moreover, they couldn't talk in this kind of atmosphere. However, he still couldn't forget his mysterious master. Seeing the three people leave, Tang Jing didn't regret it. However, when he saw his grandfather's complicated expression, he knew that he had too many questions. Moreover, he didn't know what his grandfather would think of his actions just now. So far, the person Tang Jing cared about the most was his grandfather. He cared about his attitude the most. Tang Dehai smiled kindly and patted Tang Zhang's shoulder. He had something to say. Chapter 103. Little Zhang, no matter what you do, Grandpa will support you. Moreover, Grandpa is very happy that you don't bend over backwards for money. Grandpa doesn't have much ability, but I still rely on my own hard work to earn money. I won't rely on charity to take so much money. Tang Dehai earnestly said. Even though he wasn't very educated, his simple heart was much more valuable than many nobles. Grandpa, I understand. Our family doesn't lack money, but the key is that I don't like this person. Many of his methods make me feel disgusted. Tang Jing explained. Tang Dahai nodded his head and said, Little Zheng, you have your own standards. This is a good thing. Grandpa won't say anything about this matter, but a person must have a benevolent heart. If it is within our power to help, then we should still do it. I understand. I know that a lot of things have happened to you recently. If it is convenient, can you tell Grandpa? Let Grandpa know what's going on. Grandpa can't give you too much advice, but I hope that we can share some of your difficulties. Tang Jing felt his head warm. After thinking for a bit, he told himself a part of the story. He did not mention his entanglements with the underworld. He only said that he had a fortuitous encounter, learned martial arts, and was able to refine pills. So the life-continuing pill was refined by you. Tang Dahai's face brimmed with pride. Yes, refining this pill isn't complicated. The key is that the ingredients are too hard to find. Did you give me one? Tang Dahai wasn't stupid. Connecting this to his own changes, he came to this conclusion. Tang Jing did not deny it. So it was like that. I was wondering why my body suddenly became better. Grandpa, sorry, I hid this from you. Tang Dahai rubbed his head and said with a smile, Silly child, who doesn't have a secret? Moreover, your secret is so important. If others knew, then it would bring danger. You should be careful. Actually, Grandpa should thank you for letting me live for another 10 years. I can watch you go to university and start a family. Saying this, his face was filled with gratification and happiness. Tang Dahai didn't have too many goals. This was his life's goal. Tang Zhang's happiness was his happiness. Tang Zhang's heart skipped a beat. He was determined to find a way to let his grandfather continue to live and accompany him for the next 10 years. Since Tang Zhang was a cultivator, his lifespan was naturally much longer than an ordinary person's. He couldn't bear to see his grandfather leave him after 10 years. Yi Xuanji returned to the Yi clan in a flustered and exasperated manner. Yi Tianlei carefully followed behind, afraid that he would trigger his anger. Bang! Yi Xuanji slammed his palm on Wang Wali's desk. Visible cracks spread out from the center of his palm. With a crash, the desk broke into pieces and fell to the ground. Feng Xinyang just happened to come in and see this scene, and was shocked. This anger was too great. She looked at her husband. Yi Tianlei shook his head with a bitter face, which made Feng Xinyang very puzzled. Didn't they go out to find the godly doctor? How did it become like this? Arrogant brat, I'm going to kill him. Yi Xuanji angrily roared. A whirlwind rose from the bottom of his feet, and the sawdust on the ground flew up, forming a strong killing intent. In an instant, the whole room was filled with an oppressive aura, causing people to tremble in fear. Father, calm down. Tang Zhang must have been confused for a moment. Wait for him to think it through. Yi Tianlei quickly advised. Confused for a moment. Humph, he is purposely targeting me. When have I ever been played by a brat like him? I must let him know how powerful I am. The dignity of the Ya family cannot be challenged. Yi Xuanji murderously said. Yi Tianlei swallowed his saliva, and continued to persuade, Father, I will go and persuade him. I believe he will agree after he calms down. Didn't you hear what he said? He can use the life-continuing pill to save you all, but he won't save me. This was what made Yi Xuanji angry the most. This was clearly a slap to his face. As the head of the Ya family, he was too much of a failure. Just what is going on? Why is it related to Tangjing again? Feng Xinyang was confused. Yi Tianlei was at a loss of what to do, so he quickly whispered to his wife what had happened. Feng Xinyang was dumbstruck. but her heart was bursting with joy. She secretly said, "I knew that this little handsome brother was not ordinary. To think that he was so handsome, so domineering. This old lady's eyes are really good. I cannot give up on this son-in-law, I must win him over." Yi Tianlei looked at his wife's expression and guessed what she was thinking. He bitterly smiled and said, "Don't think about these messy things for now, how to get through this crisis is the most important thing. The old man urgently needs the life-continuing pill, we must think of a way to make Tang Jing relent." "Hee, I don't have that ability, isn't the old man the head of the family? Let him make his own decisions." Feng Xinyang gloated, she really didn't have a good impression of her father-in-law. Looking at his wife who wished for the world to be in chaos, Yi Tianlei felt a headache, and said, "Feng Xinyang, quickly think of a way, don't add fuel to the fire. Don't you know the old man's temper? If he really does make a move, then Tang Jing will be in danger." Feng Xinyang thought that this was indeed the case. Yi Xuanji was determined to get the life-continuing pill. If he makes a move, then it will be a killing move. Although Tang Jing has a mysterious master, he is not by his side, so how can he block Yi Xuanji's attack? "I can't handle this matter, so let Ding Dang do it. Is there any use for her to do it?" "Hang, you're looking down on our daughter, she's more useful than you." Feng Xinyang's mouth hooked up into a faint smile, and immediately went to another room to call Yi Dingdang's cell phone. It just so happened that class had ended, so the mother and daughter began to whisper to each other, only to hear Yi Dingdang scream out, "How is this possible? Hey, you didn't think that this little handsome brother would be that godly doctor, and he even has the life-continuing pill, this kind of heaven-defying treasure, this old mother's eyes aren't wrong. His guts are too big, daring to treat the old man like that." Yi Dingdang said in disbelief. "This is called domineering, do you understand? Men need to be domineering, only then can they have a manly spirit, unlike those Xiaobai whose face doesn't even have the strength to truss up a chicken, where even the wind can blow them away." Feng Xinyang sincerely praised, "This kind of domineering little handsome brother is really too rare. If I was 20 years younger, I would have chased after him." "Hey, Feng Xinyang, aren't you ashamed, saying these kinds of words?" Yi Dingdang was really speechless towards this mother of hers. Hey, it's just a hypothetical, what are you so nervous about? Relax, he is your man, so how could I steal my daughter's man? Feng Xinyang, can you not speak nonsense? Okay, let's talk about serious matters, your chance has come, do you understand? Feng Xinyang's face was full of smiles, as she said in all seriousness. Yi Dingdang was a little confused, what chance? Didn't you want to completely break off the marriage with Song Yu? I don't have a marriage with him, that was arranged by the old man himself, I won't acknowledge it. Yi Dingdang firmly said. But you have to get past the old man, only by making him relent, this is the fastest and best way to solve this problem. Yi Dingdang was silent, she had to admit that Feng Xinyang's words were true. Although she could use Tang Jing to cause trouble, the old man was determined to facilitate this marriage, then Yi Dingdang would be in a very passive position. What to do specifically, you tell me. Hey, be good, listen to this old mother, it will definitely succeed. Don't keep me in suspense. Feng Xinyang immediately gave her instructions and Yi Dingdang continuously nodded her head. In the end, she was overjoyed, this will definitely work. You must do it as soon as possible, go to Tang Zhang's house after school, understand? I'll send you the address later. Be smart, this is your chance, don't be like a silly girl, you see that Feng Shishir is so proactive, her family is so against it, but she is determined to throw herself at the little handsome guy, and this old mother is your strong backing, if you still can't take down Tang Jing, then this old mother's face will be completely lost by you. Okay, stop being so fussy, you really are going through menopause. Yi Dingdang impatiently said. How is this old mother going through menopause? This old mother is still very young, and as beautiful as a flower. Damn girl, you're just jealous of my charm, tell me clearly. Before she finished speaking, Yi Dingdang had already hung up the phone. Tang Jing did not pay much attention to what Yi Xuanji would do. No matter what the other party did, he would not sit still and wait for death. He was no longer that bookworm who only knew how to read books. At this moment, he was moving forward step by step. Lin, whose little brother Dong Zi, was leading the way. After being taught a lesson by Tang Jing, he became very obedient, but this time he hurriedly ran to Tang Jing for help. Even his clothes were stained with blood. It was said that Lin Hu and Big Head Fan were fighting in a small forest on the outskirts of the city. Big Head Fan took the initiative to challenge Lin Hu to a fight. Over 100 underlings from both sides fought fiercely. Boss Fan's power was originally slightly stronger than Lin Hu's, but the key point was that he was a third-grade refining body, a level higher than Lin Hu's cultivation level. So the battle situation was not optimistic. In the end, Lin Hu could only let his clever little brother Dong Zi run to Tang Jing for help. Tang Jing and Lin Hu's friendship was not bad, but with Boss Fan he had old enmity and new hatred. Today he would settle it all together. He already knew that Boss Fan went to the hospital to assassinate him, and also almost hurt Fang Shishir. This grudge was completely formed. Last time he let him go, but he did not expect that he would not change his evil nature. This time he would definitely not let him go. Dong Zi, hurry up, your boss will be in more danger if we are late. Tang Jing urged. Dong Zi's head was full of sweat. He could only grit his teeth and follow Tang Jing's footsteps. In the distance, bursts of fighting sounds could be heard. This was a small forest in the suburbs. It was deserted. It was indeed suitable for fighting. Even the police would not care. In the distance, Tang Jing saw that the two groups of people were still fighting, but it was obvious that one side was at a disadvantage, retreating little by little. Hurry up and follow, I will go first. Tang Jing tiptoed, like a rabbit jumping like a falcon landing. In an instant he was several meters away, causing Dong Zi to be speechless. Tang Jing was as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye he arrived at the battlefield. Both sides were fighting with all their might. They did not even notice him. He frowned. The fighting on the streets was far crueler than he imagined. Chapter 104. The ground was splattered with blood. Severed arms were scattered on the ground, mixed with mud and weeds. The wounded were screaming on the side. This was the first time Tang Jing had seen such a bloody scene, but he did not feel uncomfortable at all. Instead, his blood began to flow faster, and he felt a restless feeling. Sogu, 360, so. His adrenaline was rapidly secreting, and his mind was highly focused. He swept his gaze around and locked onto his targets, Lin Hu and Boss Fan. At this moment, both of them were holding machetes in their hands, and the blades were stained with blood. Both of them had wounds on their bodies, but Lin Hu's injuries were clearly more serious. He was limping, and although he was doing his best to resist, he was already showing signs of decline. Boss Fan came down from above, and his machete fiercely chopped down. Lin Hu took advantage of the situation to lower his body, and wanted to dodge, but Boss Fan laughed sinisterly. The momentum of his machete suddenly changed, and in a flash, he chopped towards Lin Hu's back. Lin Hu wanted to block with his machete, but it was already too late. Blood splattered everywhere, and Boss Fan's machete cut open a large wound on Lin Hu's back, causing his muscles to bulge. Lin Hu groaned in pain, but he did not sit still and wait for death. He took advantage of the situation to jump, and narrowly avoided the opponent's attack. Looking at this dangerous scene, the little brother beside him couldn't help at all. He could only let out a roar of unwillingness. Not greater than Tang Jing moved. His feet flashed, and he rushed past one of the men. But when the man saw someone suddenly appear, he did not even think and chopped down with his machete. Tang Jing did not even look, and casually waved his hand. With a "kacha" sound, the man's wrist was broken, and the machete fell to the ground. The other man saw this, and with a wave of his machete, he chopped the man to the ground. These two groups of people had different armbands on their arms to distinguish them. The black armbands were Boss Fan's people, the blue armbands were Lin Hu's people, and the one who wanted to chop Tang Jing up was Boss Fan's little brother. In front of Tang Jing, another two lackeys who were fighting each other blocked his path. He locked onto the lackey with the black armband and gave him a flying kick. With a crack, the lackey's shin broke, causing him to lose his balance and fall to the ground in an instant. Then, he was slashed to the ground again by his opponent, crying like a ghost and howling like a wolf. Tang Jing had knocked down 7 of Big Head Fan's lackeys in just a dozen meters. Many people had already noticed this Qin Yao Jin who had appeared out of nowhere. Many people wanted to chase after him, but they couldn't. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at the center of the battlefield. Lin Hu dodged the saber in a sorry state. His body was wounded again, and blood splattered everywhere. However, Lin Hu was still the boss. He clenched his teeth and did not give up. If he gave up, he would lose. If he lost, it would mean that all his hard work over the past few decades would be for naught. Lin Hu, you're about to die, yet you still don't want to surrender. Hee, you must be counting on that brat Tang Jing to save you. Let me tell you, young Master Huang has already killed him, so you can stop daydreaming. Boss Fan had a feeling of exaltation. After leaving Huang Xiang's villa that night, he was certain that Tang Jing would die without a doubt. Therefore, he didn't ask for confirmation. Instead, he gathered his lackeys and impatiently sent a letter of challenge to Lin Hu. The two groups of people pulled each other to the outskirts of the city and fought to the death. Whoever left standing would be the victor. This was the law of the underworld. Whoever had the bigger fist would be the boss, and their benefits would be greater. Moreover, this kind of letter of challenge was the most direct and easiest way to gain the approval of others. Ordinary balance wasn't limited to Lin Hu and Boss Fan's group. Others were also eyeing them covetously. Boss Fan was very confident. If he defeated Lin Hu in this way, then he would go to Lin Hu's territory and plant his flag. That would be his territory. This kind of method was called basking in the sun. It was to bask in the sun and then fight to the death. The winner would be the king, and the loser would be the bandit. Boss Fan, don't be arrogant. If you say Brother Tang is dead, then he's dead. Who do you think you are? Huang Xiang wants to kill him. Humph, dream on. Don't you know that Huang Xiang suffered a loss at his hands? Lin Hu grinned and retorted while enduring the pain. Boss Fan's heart trembled. He still didn't know that Huang Xiang suffered a loss at Tang Zhang's hands. However, these matters of the past were not important. The important thing was that Tang Jing was dead. I see that you won't cry until you see the coffin. Then I'll send you to accompany him on the road to the Yellow Springs. Boss Fan stomped on the ground and soared into the air. Using the momentum of his fall, he fiercely chopped down at Lin Hu. Lin Hu hurriedly used his blade to block. Suddenly, he saw Tang Jing behind Boss Fan. He was overjoyed at the unexpected good news. Boss Fan obviously didn't notice that there was an extra person behind him. Seeing that Lin Hu was about to be chopped down, Lin Hu seemed to be possessed and didn't move an inch. He didn't even try to block. Boss Fan was overjoyed and roared, "Lin Hu, accept your death." Bang! Before the chopping blade could fall, a strong force came from behind him. He directly flew over Lin Hu's head and fell flat on his face. F***CK, whose sneak attacked me. Boss Fan reacted quickly. He pushed his palms against the ground and flipped over. He angrily glared at the attacker. Boss Fan, didn't you say that I was dead? Do you think I'm a human or a ghost? Tang Jing asked with a murderous look. Boss Fan was so scared that his eyes were wide open. He cried out in alarm, "Why aren't you dead? It won't be that easy to kill me." Lin Hu was pleasantly surprised. Originally, when he saw Boss Fan's solemn vow and even brought out Huang Xiang, he almost believed that Tang Jing was dead. But now it was clear that it was all nonsense. With Tang Jing here, he would definitely win. "Brother Tang, you're finally here." Tang Jing lightly nodded and said, "You rest for a bit. I'll deal with him. He tried to assassinate me before, so I'll settle the score with him now. He has big dog guts. He actually dares to try and assassinate you," Lin Hu angrily said. Boss Fan's eyes spun around, but he couldn't find a way to dissolve the hatred. It was clear that Tang Jing wouldn't let him go. He gathered his courage and loudly roared, "F***ck, Tang Jing, don't think that I'm afraid of you. You're awesome, right? Today, I have dozens of brothers. I'll definitely chop you into pieces." Boss Fan brought over 80 people while Lin Hu only brought over 60. After this fierce battle, Boss Fan still had 34 brothers standing, so he had the confidence to do so. But Lin Hu wasn't someone to be trifled with. He said, "Lin Hu, do you think that my 20 to 30 brothers are just decorations? Brothers, chop them up for me. Chop them up and Boss Fan's territory will be ours." Lin Hu's little brothers all responded loudly. Since their boss was so passionate, they naturally wouldn't hold him back. Tang Zheng looked at Boss Fan with ridicule and said, "Is this what you meant by chop me into pieces?" "I don't think so." Boss Fan subconsciously took a step back and said, "Tang Zheng, don't be complacent. Young Master Huang is nearby. Young Master Huang has already mastered his godly technique. If you dare to act rashly, then you're dead. Then call him out. If you can't call him out, then I can only deal with you." Tang Jing coldly laughed. Boss Fan panicked. Huang Xiang wasn't even here. He was just deliberately mystifying things. But he still braced himself and said, "Is young Master Huang someone you can see just because you want to? If you obediently surrender, then young Master Huang may let you live." "Ha, you only know how to blabber. As a boss, you're too weak." Tang Jing stretched out his hand and directly attacked. After 2 days of recuperation, he unceasingly circulated his energy to heal his injuries. His broken ribs were almost completely healed, so it didn't affect his fighting ability. This time, he didn't use Transcendent Flying Immortal. Firstly, dealing with Boss Fan didn't require such exquisite martial arts. Secondly, last time he used it in front of Qin Lao. It attracted the attention of the other party, who even left ordinary balance overnight. This gave him a new understanding of Transcendent Flying Immortal. This sword technique was too powerful. If it fell into the eyes of others, it might not be a good thing. So he temporarily used the Heaven Gathering Hand. In any case, he was very familiar with the Heaven Gathering Hand. When he used it, the sky was filled with hand shadows. In the blink of an eye, he attacked in front of Boss Fan. Boss Fan raised his blade and chopped down. His blade technique wasn't bad. It was very methodical. Moreover, it was powerful and heavy. Its power was definitely not small. Tang Jing didn't dodge. He raised one hand and blocked the other's wrist, making it impossible for the blade to come down. His other hand quickly slapped towards Boss Fan's chest. Boss Fan was shocked and hurriedly retreated. He slashed his blade in front of his chest, wanting to block Tang Zheng's hand. However, with a flash of his hand, Tang Zheng's hand went past his blade and slapped his chest with both palms. Pooh! Boss Fan spat out a mouthful of blood. His chest instantly caved in. He attacked with his back in an attempt to dissipate some of the force. However, Tang Zheng's attack was too powerful. Even if he managed to dissipate some of the force, it still wasn't easy. Tang Jing easily dodged the blood. With a single step, he was beside Boss Fan. Boss Fan slashed his blade to the side, but found that the blade hit empty air. Tang Zheng's palm had silently struck below his ribs. Pang! This strike was very heavy. Boss Fan was directly sent flying and fiercely fell to the ground. Even his blade was knocked out of his hand. Tang Zheng was like a shadow as he stood beside Boss Fan and coldly said, "Now you know the consequences of offending me." Boss Fan was scared to death. He never thought that Tang Zheng's martial arts would have reached such a high level. He was like a completely different person compared to when they were in the arena. If he were to let those boxers exchange blows with him, they wouldn't be able to last more than a few moves. "Tang Zheng, please let me go. I will never be your enemy again." Boss Fan was scared. He hurriedly begged for mercy. As long as there was life, there was hope. In order to save his life, he had to admit defeat. Boss Fan wasn't a tough bone to begin with. If he was, then he wouldn't be so close to Huang Xiang. "Let you go? Have you ever thought of letting me go?" Tang Jing retorted. Boss Fan was at a loss for words. He had already gone to the hospital to assassinate Tang Jing. How could he ever think of letting him go? "I was blinded by lard. I'm not a person, I'm a bastard. I won't dare to do it again." Boss Fan slapped himself in the face, causing half of his face to immediately swell up. "Tang Zheng, no, young Master Tang, let me go. I'll listen to you from now on. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. I'll be your dog. An untrained dog will bite its owner." Tang Jing bent down and picked up the blade. He raised his hand and swung it down. Chapter 105. Blood splattered everywhere, and an ear-piercing scream instantly spread throughout the small forest. Everyone subconsciously stopped their attacks and focused their attention on the scene. Sogu, 360, SOSO Lin, whose mouth twitched as his mind trembled. Tang Zheng's ruthlessness had shocked him. It made him think of many things and made him make up his mind. If it was said that he had previously placed himself on the same level as Tang Jing, then after this battle, he had completely lowered himself and was filled with admiration and reverence. This high school student that he had almost made a feud with was not someone he could fight against. His blood began to boil as he was filled with anticipation. He had such achievements at such a young age, just how far could he go in the future? However, when he saw Boss Fan wailing on the ground, he did not have a trace of pity. Sooner or later, he would have to pay for what he did. If you were not strong enough, then you would be killed by others. He walked over and saw that Boss Fan's wrists and ankles were dripping with blood. The tendons in his hands and ankles had been cut. Lin, whose heart was moved. When Tang Zheng raised his knife, he thought that Tang Zheng wanted to kill Boss Fan. If Tang Zheng had really killed someone, then Lin who would have risked his life to settle this matter. However, he did not kill anyone. This Tang Zheng was a meticulous person. If he killed someone in front of so many people, then it would not have a good effect. Moreover, he would have put himself in danger. This was an extremely disadvantageous matter. However, Tang Zheng only cut Boss Fan's tendons and directly crippled him. This was in accordance with the rules of the underworld and also completely eliminated this threat. It was indeed the most suitable method. "Clean this up." Tang Zheng threw away the knife and calmly said. There was no longer any trace of his ruthless killing intent. However, the scene from before had been deeply imprinted in everyone's minds. Yes, Boss Fan has been arrogant for half his life. From now on, he will beg for a living. Lin, whose attitude became even more respectful. He called out to two of his subordinates and carried Boss Fan away. Big Head Fan only cared about howling in pain. He didn't even dare to look at Tang Jing. Tang Zhang looked around and swept his gaze over everyone. Everyone who met his gaze subconsciously lowered their heads, not daring to look him in the eye. Tang Zhang's eyes were actually very calm, just like an ordinary high school student's. However, those who were looked at by him felt a burning sensation. A sense of pressure spontaneously rose from the bottom of their hearts. This was what it meant to be imposing. Imperceptibly, Tang Zhang had developed this kind of aura over time. Once it erupted, it was like the sun, making others unable to look at it directly. When Big Head Fan's underlings saw that their boss had been crippled, they all dropped their weapons and didn't dare to fight anymore. Without a doubt, Tang Zhang had single-handedly turned the tide of the battle. This was not a battle on the battlefield. This kind of street fight had a strong sense of heroism. Often, a suppressive expert could decide the outcome of a battle. Tang Zhang was very satisfied. He felt refreshed and said, "Brother Hu, I'm leaving." "Young Master Tang, please wait a moment. We have won this battle. I will first send my underlings to Big Head Fan's territory to plant the flag. Can I invite you to my place to sit for a while?" Lin Hu respectfully invited. Moreover, he changed the way he addressed Tang Zhang. He no longer called him Brother Tang, but Young Master Tang. Tang Zhang nodded in agreement. "Young Master Tang, please don't call me Brother Hu in the future. It's too much for me. Just call me Huzi." Lin Hu took the initiative to show weakness. Tang Zhang hesitated for a moment. However, he understood the other's intentions and agreed. Lin Hu quickly arranged for his underlings to plant the flag and clean up the mess. Meanwhile, he and Tang Zhang sat in a car in the distance. Under everyone's gazes, they gradually drove away. Huazi drove. From time to time, he would look at his boss and Tang Zhang from the rearview mirror. When he had just arrived, he saw Tang Zhang's hand swing down and directly end the battle. One could imagine the shock in his heart. Thinking back to the time when he dared to be disrespectful to Tang Dahai, he simply ate a leopard's guts. He couldn't help but admire his boss's eyesight. "Young Master Tang, boss, we're here." Huazi stopped the car in front of Xing Shi Bar and respectfully reported. Lin Hu was the first to get off the car. Then, he went around to Tang Zhang's side and took the initiative to open the car door. He slightly bowed, "Young Master Tang, please." Tang Zhang got off the car. He didn't feel uncomfortable at all. When other people faced this kind of situation, they would feel a little uneasy. However, Tang Zhang's calmness seemed to be innate. In the past, it was just hidden. Now, it gradually broke out. Xing Shi Bar. It was still the office on the second floor. This time, the one sitting at the head of the table was not Lin Hu but Tang Zhang. Tang Zhang glanced around. He still remembered that this was the office where he first met Lin Hu. Moreover, they had a big fight. With the passage of time, the conflict between the two has been completely resolved. Instead, it has become a closer relationship. "Young Master Tang, this time it was all thanks to your righteous help. Otherwise, I would have fallen. I, Lin Hu, will remember this kindness in my heart." Lin Hu's face was solemn as he said in a deep voice. Tang Zhang waved his hand and said, "It's nothing. Moreover, with our relationship, I can't just stand by and watch you die." Lin Hu's heart was happy. It seems that his position in the other's heart was not bad. So, he struck while the iron was hot. "Young Master Tang, I have a presumptuous request." "Speak." "You've also seen my property, so I want to transfer it to you." Lin Hu calmly said, without a trace of reluctance. Even Dong Zi, who was standing at the side, couldn't help but feel his eyelids jump. He was incomparably surprised. Tang Zhang looked at Lin Hu with astonishment. Although he did not know how many businesses Lin Hu had, he was certain that it was worth tens of millions. But he actually wanted to transfer it to Tang Zheng. This courage made Tang Zheng have a whole new level of respect for him. In this world, there were many people who were greedy for power and wealth. Those who dared to hand over their benefits to others were few and far between. However, Tang Zheng did not show too much of a reaction. He lightly said, "I don't have the money to accept your business. No, I'm giving it to young Master Tang." "I don't need a single cent," Lin Hu resolutely said as if he did not feel any heartache. Tang Zheng deeply looked at Lin Hu as if he wanted to re-examine him. "Why? Today, my life was saved by young Master Tang. If you didn't act, I would have lost without a doubt. This business would also have been snatched away by Boss Fan. And..." Lin Hu slightly hesitated and said, "My ability is not enough to support such a large business. Only you, young Master Tang, have this ability. Be a bit more specific." Tang Zheng was a bit interested. "In ordinary balance, other than me and Boss Fan, there are two other bosses. One is Hoodlum and the other is Fire Phoenix. These two are not ordinary people. Especially Hoodlum. In the past, he was Boss Huang's head horse. Later on, he came out to do things on his own. In reality, he was acting on behalf of Boss Huang. This person is very good at fighting." Tang Zheng nodded. He did not think that ordinary balance would have such a complicated relationship. "Who is Boss Huang?" "Actually, young Master Tang and Boss Huang have already formed a grudge. He is Huang Xiang's father. His name is Huang Biao and his nickname is Huang Si. He is an unfathomable expert. Don't look at how ordinary balance has so many forces. If he stood up and shouted, everyone would have no choice but to listen to him." Tang Zheng shivered. It seems that he and the Huang family were fated to be involved. However, he did not have a good impression of the Huang family. According to Boss Fan, Huang Xiang had tried to assassinate him before. Although he did not know why the other party did not succeed, it was not important. What was important was that both sides were in a life and death situation. The King of Medicine did not mention the battle that night. In the King of Medicine's mind, finding out the condition of Tang Zheng's body was the most important thing. Everything else was just a small episode not worth mentioning. "Oh, so you will also listen to him?" Tang Zheng asked with interest. Lin Hu firmly shook his head. "From today onwards, I will only listen to young Master Tang." Tang Zheng thoughtfully nodded his head. No matter what Lin Hu's final plan was, at least his attitude was sincere. Moreover, he originally wanted to deal with Huang Xiang and this would also trigger Huang Si's nerves. Thus, agreeing to Lin Hu's request was not impossible. Moreover, Lin Hu was not a burden and could be a great help to him. Huang Si was a deeply rooted local snake. If he wanted to overthrow him, it would not be as simple as killing his way to his door. In addition, his cultivation was definitely not as good as Huang Si's. Rashly killing his way to his door would be like throwing an egg at a rock. "Tell me about this Hoodlum," Tang Zheng thoughtfully said. Hoodlum represents the interests of the Huang family and controls the most prosperous area in ordinary Balan City. Moreover, this person is vicious and merciless. He dares to fight and fight. Back when he was Huang Si's horse, he was already famous for his bravery and loyalty to Huang Si. Otherwise, he would not have been chosen by Huang Si to be his spokesperson. Hoodlum has some business acumen and the businesses under him are doing very well. He also has guts and dares to touch prostitution, gambling and drugs. With Huang Si's protection, these few years he has been developing rapidly. If not for the fact that the northern part of the city is an old district and there is not much profit to be made, I'm afraid he would have already made a move on me. This Hoodlum was not simple. However, to dare touch prostitution, gambling and drugs, he really had guts. This was especially true for drugs. This was the country's most severe crackdown on drugs, and of course it was also the most profitable. Tang Jing did not know much about the underworld. Since he would not be able to avoid it in the future, he might as well understand it. He then asked, "Then what is the situation of your businesses?" "I don't have many businesses. I only have baths and bars. However, I don't have as many resources as Hoodlum. Therefore, I only sell a bit of alcohol and raise a few girls. I also collect protection fees to earn money. I can't compare to Hoodlum." How come you don't touch drugs and gambling?" Lin, whose face revealed a trace of sadness as he resolutely said, "I hate drugs. Back then, my wife died from drug addiction." Back then, I was doing pretty well. Although I wasn't the boss, I still had a bit of money, so I got married. After marriage, I was very happy. However, later on, my wife became addicted to drugs. She refused to change, and in the end, she died from drug addiction. Lin Hu gnashed his teeth as he said this. It seems that although this matter had passed for a long time, the scar in his heart was still very painful. Because of this, when I became the boss, I did not allow drugs to enter my businesses. Because of this, there were many fights. In the end, when others saw that I had made up my mind, no one dared to come to my businesses to sell drugs. It is also because of this that my businesses and profits can't compare to others. Chapter 106. Tang Jing patted his shoulder and comforted him. "You made the right decision. As a man, there are things you can do and things you can't do. Drugs are things you can't touch. Fairy search download novels for free. Drugs not only harm a person, but also the family of a drug addict will fall into a bottomless abyss. Moreover, this country was bullied because of the Opium War. As a young man with correct values, he naturally hated drugs." Lin Hu nodded, took a deep breath, and tried to calm his mind as much as possible and said, "If there is something, then there is something to be gained. It is also because of this reason that my place is rarely checked by the police, which saves me a lot of trouble." "What about the casino?" Tang Jing still remembered the casino in the ordinary balance villa. Of course, he was also very clear about how terrifying the casino's ability to make money was. The casino needs a lot of money to back it up. My strength is not enough, so I can't play it. But in my territory, there are some small casinos. My little brothers also go to the casinos to collect protection fees, but they don't participate in the operation. Tang Zheng had a general understanding of Lin Hu's strength and said, "What's the situation with that fire phoenix? This woman is not simple. She is in her 30s. When she was in her teens, she came out as a delinquent girl. She dared to fight and later married her own boss. But this boss did not live long and was hacked to death. Fire Phoenix took over his position. Originally, I thought that she would not be able to protect me. The others were all eyeing her territory covetously, but in the end, she miraculously survived. These years, she has also stabilized. Her strength is even a bit stronger than mine. Oh, why do I feel that among these bosses, you are the most miserable?" Tang Zheng laughed involuntarily. Lin, who wasn't embarrassed at all and directly nodded his head in acknowledgement, "That is indeed the case. The northern part of the city is an old part of the city, so there is very little profit to be had. Moreover, I have put so many shackles on myself, so this little brother really hasn't enjoyed much with me. Boss, we are all willing to follow you. It is not just for the money." Dong Zi stood up and said with righteous indignation. Lin, who smiled and gestured for Dong Zi to sit down, saying, "I understand your thoughts, so I am very grateful to you. Now you understand why I was interested in the profits from the junkyard." Tang Jing expressed his understanding and said, since we have already formed a grudge with Huang Si, then we have to weaken his strength as much as possible. This time you also snatched away Boss Fan's territory, so your strength has increased greatly. This will also attract their attention, so our current target is Hoodlum. He is Huang Si's hand, so we have to cut off his hand. Lin Hu excitedly nodded his head. That's also what I was thinking. If we were to directly face Huang Si, our chances of victory would not be high. But Hoodlum is not like Boss Fan. This person has a brain and his strength is not bad. He is far from being as easy to deal with as Boss Fan. Moreover, I just fought with Boss Fan, so it will definitely attract the attention of the police, so I have to stay low for a while. Then let's stop on the surface and make preparations in secret to avoid being caught off guard when the time comes. Also, what is the relationship between Fire Phoenix and Huang Si? Fire Phoenix obviously respects Huang Si on the surface, but a woman's heart is like a needle at the bottom of the sea. What exactly is she thinking in her heart? No one knows. Could it be that young Master Tang wants to ally with Fire Phoenix to deal with Hoodlum? This will not be easy. Fire Phoenix is more cautious and will not easily make a move. Who hacked her husband to death? This I do not know. Her husband was also a fierce person. That year before Huang Si retreated to the background, he often went against Huang Si. Oh. Tang Zheng's eyes lit up. Then could his death have been caused by Huang Si? This is hard to say. There is no evidence. Hey, so what if there is no evidence? The key is to believe in this point. I believe that Fire Phoenix also has a scale in her heart. It is just that she is not Huang Si's opponent, so she does not dare to show it. You go and get in touch with Fire Phoenix and probe her thoughts. If we can ally with her, then our chances of victory will be much higher. Tang Jing arranged. Lin Hu agreed. Now that his territory was larger than Fire Phoenix's, Fire Phoenix would feel a sense of danger. Perhaps there really was a possibility of them working together. Okay, we will stop here for today. If you have any news, then let me know. Properly manage your territory. Tang Zheng stood up and prepared to leave. Young Master Tang, this is your territory. Lin Hu corrected him. Tang Zheng gave an enigmatic smile and said, there is no need to give it to me. This place was taken down by your blade and gun. Moreover, I am a student and not someone from the underworld. I will not take your territory. However, our goals are the same. If you need any help, I will lend you a hand. Tang Zheng was a cultivator and his vision was not small. How could he possibly care about the ordinary balance underworld's benefits? His top priority was to raise his cultivation level, and he could not possibly place his focus on the underworld's fighting and killing. In addition, if his grandfather knew that he was deeply involved with the underworld, he would also be worried. Lin Hu watched as Tang Jing disappeared through the door and did not come back to his senses. This was an opportunity to hand over to him, but he was unexpectedly not moved. Lin Hu really could not see through Tang Jing. Boss, how could he refuse? Then are we still going to listen to him? Dong Zi asked in disbelief. Lin Hu firmly said, of course we will listen to him. Although he does not want it, I will still help him guard this property. He is equivalent to our boss behind the scenes. At any time, as long as he gives the order, I will hand it over to him. Lin Hu knew that Tang Zheng's vision was no longer limited to this city. Although he did not know the other specific thoughts, following him may allow him to see scenery that he did not even dare to imagine before. When Tang Zheng returned home, the sky had already darkened. From afar, he could see two slender figures standing in front of the door. Compared to the small house, they formed a completely different scenery. Passers-by all turned to look at them. These two people were truly too beautiful, like two pearls. Quickly walking over, the two people had already come to greet him. Feng Shishir was like a dancing butterfly as she flew towards Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng held her in his arms, feeling the breathtaking softness. He patted her back and asked, "Why did you two come?" "I came to see you." "Why did you run out?" "You should be at home recuperating," Feng Shishir said with concern. "I am already fine, so I went out for a walk to get some fresh air." Tang Zheng moved his muscles to show off. Injured muscles and bones take 100 days to recover. This is a big matter and cannot be taken lightly. But if your body is better, you won't have to miss this week's monthly exam. Monthly exam? Tang Zheng was shocked. He immediately remembered that Lu Qingmei wanted him to get first place in the monthly exam. This was not in line with his original plan. He was originally prepared to compromise, but this time he had a way to muddle through. Using his injury as an excuse to not go to class for a few days, he could muddle through. Sure, tell teacher Lu tomorrow that I am still recuperating and will not be able to participate in the monthly exam. No problem. Wait until the high school exam to show your strength. At that time, you will definitely amaze everyone and surprise everyone. Feng Shishir agreed. Hey, can the two of you not be so lovey-dovey? Yi Dingdang finally couldn't help but speak up. She was specifically asked by Feng Xinyang to come find Tang Zheng. She didn't expect that after many twists and turns, she would find Feng Shishir standing in front of his door. Yi Dingdang didn't leave. If she left, wouldn't that mean that she was afraid of Feng Shishir? So she simply waited at the door. The two were like door gods, occasionally looking at each other but not speaking. "Do you need something from me?" Tang Zheng let go of Feng Shishir. Feng Shishir still held his hand and walked towards Yi Dingdang. "Of course there's something." Yi Dingdang hatefully stared at the two's tightly held hands and said with a complicated expression. "What is it?" "Let's talk alone. Then I'll go in first." Feng Shishir obediently opened the door and entered the room. Yi Dingdang looked at him and said, "First, I want to thank you for giving me the Jade Women's Heart Sutra. It is very suitable for me. Moreover, this cultivation technique is very precious." "I don't know how to thank you." "I already said that I don't need your thanks. I just wanted to help." Tang Zheng shrugged and generously said. Yi Dingdang's eyes flashed with a bright light. Tang Zheng at this moment was very charming. Anyone who easily gave a priceless treasure to another without asking for anything in return would have a charm that would make others submit. Yi Dingdang collected her thoughts and continued to say, "I already know about the life-continuing pill." Tang Zheng didn't find it strange and nodded, indicating for her to continue. "I didn't think that you wouldn't agree to save him. You also saw how he treated me. Do you think I need to save him?" Tang Zheng asked back. Yi Dingdang squeezed out a smile and said, "You really are bold. When I heard Feng Xinyang talk about this matter, I also felt that it was inconceivable. But I really admire your style. You flatter me. I don't have any big principles, but I still have some small principles. Do you know that the old man is very angry? In these past years, no one has ever dared to treat him like this. People always have to experience their first time." Seeing his serious appearance, Yi Dingdang couldn't help but laugh. "I really admire you. You didn't come today just to express your admiration, right?" Tang Zheng calmly asked. "Don't you know that you are already in danger?" Yi Dingdang decided not to talk about her own matters and prepared to test Tang Zheng's reaction. "I have never been safe. But I still have a bit of ability to protect myself, so I won't die for now. But this time is different from before. The old man is a 9th grade natal stage cultivator. This is already very frightening. You are not his opponent." Tang Zheng faintly smiled and said, "It seems like he really wants to kill and steal. All right, then I will wait for him. Are you stupid or are you really not afraid of death?" Yi Dingdang rolled her eyes at him. Everyone is afraid of death, so how can I not be afraid of death? But since he wants to kill, I can't just sit and wait for death. Hey, you really are daring. But since you gave me the Jade Women's Heart Sutra, I will give you a clear path to resolve this crisis. Oh, so kind. Of course I am kind. I have always been kind. Don't you know? Yi Dingdang somewhat playfully said. Then I am all ears. Chapter 107. Tang Jing originally thought that Yi Dingdang would have some kind of brilliant plan, but after hearing her words, his expression became strange and he couldn't help but interrupt her. Is your plan for yourself or for me? Yi Dingdang raised her head, revealing her snow-white neck. Her body under the school uniform was especially tall, making Tang Jing involuntarily think of the time when they shared the same bed. Sogu, 360, search JDXS to download novels for free. Yi Dingdang clearly didn't notice Tang Zhang's bad intentions and righteously said, Of course I'm doing this for you, how could it be for myself? Saying this, her eyes flashed, but she felt a bit guilty and silently cursed. Feng Xinyang, all of this was your plan, but you want me to carry it out. Shouldn't you be the one saying it as the mother, humph? Tang Jing shook his head and retorted, I don't think so, you're clearly the one benefiting more. How could that be? You won't be in any danger like this, and I'm just taking a little bit of benefit. Yi Dingdang used her fingernails to point out, as if she wanted to remind herself that the benefits were insignificant. You're just taking things from your left pocket to your right pocket, it's your Ya family that's taking advantage. Tang Jing disagreed. Yi Dingdang's expression changed and said in a deep voice, Don't speak nonsense, I'm greater than over equal to, surnamed Yi, I'm from the ordinary Balance Ya family, not the Beijing Ya family. Seeing her firm expression, he could understand her feelings. His expression also became serious as he said, You want me to give the life-continuing pill to Yi Xuanji so that he can cancel your marriage with Song Yu. No matter how you look at it, I feel like you have more benefits. This was Feng Xinyang's plan. Not only could it save Tang Zhang's life, but it could also resolve Yi Dingdang's crisis, killing two birds with one stone. This way you won't be in any danger, isn't that great? Yi Dingdang guiltily lowered her head, Just agree, this is good for both of us. Moreover, do you have the heart to see me marry Song Yu? Why wouldn't I have the heart? Song Yu is elegant, rich, and powerful. He's the prince that many girls dream of. Tang Jing didn't take the bait. In any case, he is not my type. Moreover, I have already announced to the outside world that you are my fiancé, so you should be responsible for me, your fiancé, to the end. Yi Dingdang hardened her heart and loudly said. Shoo, lower your voice, I said this to help you, but everyone knows it's fake. Tang Zheng looked into the room, not knowing if Feng Shishir heard. Anyways, the whole school already knows that you're my fiancé. If you don't agree, I'll continue to say this and make you a heartless man that everyone despises, Chin Shimmy. Yi Dingdang's eyes flashed with a trace of craftiness as she resolutely said. Originally, Feng Xinyang wanted her to act gentle, but Yi Dingdang clearly didn't follow the script and returned to her original nature, directly threatening him. Tang Zheng was speechless. Why was this Yi Dingdang pestering him endlessly? Of course he was not afraid of being scolded behind his back, as it was just a false rumor, but he was worried that Feng Shishir would be troubled. To be honest, he really didn't want to bother with Yi Xuanji, since his life and death had nothing to do with him. Brat, don't you want a 300-year-old ginseng to refine a spirit-gathering pill? Yi Xuanji definitely has a way to get it, so add this condition to it. This girl is right, you're not Yi Xuanji's opponent right now, so there's no need to make such a strong enemy. Moreover, you can deepen your relationship with this girl, which will be more beneficial for you to take her down in the future. You can't just give this girl to Song Yu. Tian Chanzi once again joined in. Ginseng. Tang Zheng's eyes lit up. That's right, Tang Zheng's eyes lit up. That's right, I have no way to find this ingredient, but Yi Xuanji definitely has a way. Your top priority is to refine a spirit-gathering pill to increase your cultivation. Something like the life-continuing pill, other people treat it as a priceless treasure, but it doesn't have much use for you. Why don't you use it to exchange for something useful to you? Moreover, if others know that you don't have it, they won't have any ideas about you. This is killing two birds with one stone. Tian Chanzi analyzed. He had to admit that sometimes Tang Zheng's perspective was still lacking, and the experienced and astute Tian Chanzi just happened to make up for this. Seeing Tang Zheng hesitate, Yi Dingdang was also very nervous. If Tang Zheng didn't agree, then she would be in trouble, so she anxiously asked, "Do you agree or not?" "Okay, I agree, but I have a condition." "What condition?" Yi Dingdang was overjoyed, but her heart became nervous. He wouldn't ask for something excessive, right? If he did, what would I do? "I need a 300-year-old ginseng, tell him to prepare it." 300-year-old ginseng. Yi Dingdang breathed a sigh of relief, but she couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. "What do you need that for?" "You don't have to worry about that, just go back and tell him to decide for himself." "Okay, I'll keep it in mind." "You can't go back on your words." Yi Dingdang believed that the old man would agree. After all, this was related to his life, but she was most afraid that Tang Zheng would go back on his words. A gentleman's word cannot be taken back. Tang Zheng's answer was resolute and decisive. Yi Dingdang curled her lips and criticized in her heart. He didn't know how to be modest at all, and still called himself a gentleman. "If there's nothing else, I'll go in." "What, can't wait to see your lover?" Yi Dingdang teased, but there was a hint of jealousy in her voice. "Yes, so forgive me for not seeing you out." Tang Zheng went in, leaving Yi Dingdang stomping her feet and muttering, "Humph, I don't want to stand here." "Are you done?" Fong Shishir saw him come in and quickly went to welcome him. "I want to cook for you, how do I do this?" She awkwardly and anxiously pointed at the rice cooker. "Sorry, I've never cooked before, so I don't know how to do it." "Am I stupid?" Fong Shishir lowered her head in embarrassment. Tang Zheng's head warmed as he said, "You're so smart, how can you be stupid? It's just that you haven't come into contact with it before." This kind of rich young miss was willing to cook for him. If he said that he wasn't moved, then he would be lying. "Then I'll start learning from today. I believe that I can also make delicious food." Fong Shishir smiled, revealing two shallow dimples. "Okay, I'll teach you. Now don't move and watch me do it." Tang Zheng rolled up his sleeves and moved quickly. He washed the rice, washed the pot, and then used the rice cooker to cook the rice. Then he began to wash and cut the vegetables. There was a series of ding-ding-ding sounds. The crisp sound of the kitchen knife cutting on the chopping board was like a piece of music, very rhythmic and charming. "Let me try." Fong Shishir was eager to try. "Be careful, this knife is very sharp." Fong Shishir held the knife and cut the vegetables like he did, but she didn't have the ease he had. The ingredients she cut were all big and small. "It's always like this for the first time. Just do it more often," Tang Zheng encouraged. Fong Shishir nodded and gritted her teeth. Suddenly, the kitchen knife slipped and she cried out in pain. Her finger was cut and blood flowed out. She immediately frowned in pain. Tang Zheng hurriedly grabbed her hand and looked at it. Her finger had been cut open. He put her finger into his mouth with heartache, wanting to suck the blood away. This was a subconscious action because he used to do this. But Fong Shishir was stunned to see her finger in Tang Zheng's mouth. She immediately blushed, but she didn't stop him. Her heart was warm. "Put a band-aid on it." "Does it still hurt?" Tang Zheng asked softly. Fang Shishir gently shook her head, looked at him with shining eyes, and whispered, "It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. You were screaming just now. It hurt just now, but it doesn't hurt now." Fang Shishir showed a charming smile. "How can it be so fast, silly girl?" Tang Zheng put on the band-aid. Seeing that she was still looking at him, he touched his face and asked, "Is there a flower on my face?" Fang Shishir didn't answer him, but expressed her feelings with practical actions. She hugged his neck, raised her head and kissed his lips. Since the beauty took the initiative to throw herself into his arms, Tang Zheng naturally would not reject her. He tightly embraced her slender waist and passionately kissed her. The two people's rapid breathing caused the temperature in the room to rise. Tang Zheng's hands began to move. His hands went all the way down her back and wrapped around her perky buttocks. Although Fang Shishir's body was still raw, it showed a little maturity. That amazing elasticity was particularly attractive. Tang Zheng lovingly hugged her as the two tightly stuck together. Fang Shishir seemed as if she was about to melt as she softly fell into his embrace. "Go inside," Fang Shishir said, almost moaning. Tang Zheng directly carried her up and walked to his room. Fang Shishir's hands hooked around his neck and looked at him lovingly. Tang Zheng gently placed her on the bed and leaned over to kiss her, entangling them together. His hands were not idle. Little by little, they moved up from her legs to her buttocks and slowly reached her chest. Through her clothes, he could still feel the warm and soft fullness. Fang Shishir's body stiffened and trembled with excitement. But she didn't stop Tang Zheng's attack. She let his hands hold her peaks through her clothes. Fang Shishir's breathing became more rapid. Her eyes were like autumn water and her face was like peach blossoms. She was faintly anticipating and also a little afraid. But she still gathered her courage and gave him an encouraging look. Tang Zheng's hands moved more vigorously. Even through her clothes, Fang Shishir felt her body heat up. It was as if she was going to burn up. She couldn't help but moan. Her hands also hugged Tang Zheng's body and stroked it. Tang Zheng was even more excited. He felt that his blood was boiling. He was no longer satisfied with this little achievement. He began to conquer her. Unknowingly, his hands had already moved under her clothes. Her skin was white and delicate, like mutton fat jade. When his fingers touched it, her body trembled slightly. His big hands quickly moved up and touched her underwear. Then, he quickly moved in. The underwear wrapped his hands tightly, but it made the contact between his hands and her skin even more intimate. Tang Zheng's hands were stuffed. They were soft and delicate, making his heart burn more and more. Even his eyes were about to spit fire. Chapter 108. Both parties had already read the latest chapter. Fang Shishir's clothes had already been pushed up, exposing her two snow-white breasts to the air. There was even a little bit of Tang Zheng's saliva on them. Obviously, he had already tasted this beautiful delicacy. Fang Shishir's pink face was like a peach blossom, showing a kind of soul-stirring beauty. Both parties were ready to take the next step when a soft sound came from outside the door. It was the sound of the rice cooker, indicating that the rice was ready. Fang Shishir was already in a state of delirium and did not notice this soft sound. However, Tang Zheng's ears were sharp and this sound still interrupted his mood, causing him to be shocked. They were at home and the sky was about to turn dark. Grandpa would be back soon from work. If they were to see this scene, Tang Zheng's thick skin would not matter, but Fang Shishir's thin skin would definitely be too embarrassed to show her face. He stopped abruptly, but Fang Shishir was still immersed in it. She was still leaning on him, her chest pressed against Tang Zheng's body, rubbing and changing shape, almost igniting the fire in Tang Zheng's head. Fortunately, Tang Zheng's self-control was not bad. He whispered in her ear, "Grandfather might be back soon." Fang Shishi's movements suddenly stopped. After pausing for a few seconds, she hurriedly tidied up her clothes and complained, "Why didn't you say so earlier? If Grandpa were to see it, it would be so embarrassing." Tang Zhang looked at her flustered appearance and laughed for no reason. "You can't blame me for this. You also have a part to play." "Humph, it's all your fault. It's all your fault." Fang Shishi stared at him coquettishly. She was so flirtatious that Tang Zhang almost lost control again. "Help me take a look. Is there anything wrong with my clothes? Is it messy?" "Don't worry, there's no problem. It's very neat. You can't tell what we did just now." Fang Shishi immediately punched him and said, "Why do I feel like you've become bad? I used to think that you were very honest." It's too late to realize it now. We've already boarded the pirate ship and can't get off, Tang Zhang said with a proud smile. Fang Shishi also smiled, brimming with happiness and sweetness. "Little Zhang, is there a guest at home?" Tang Dahai's voice sounded from outside the door. "Yes, Grandpa, Shishi is here. She's having dinner with us today." Tang Zhang and Fang Shishi walked out of the bedroom and saw their grandfather entering the house. He was carrying a snakeskin bag in his left hand and an iron hook in his right. He was wearing a straw hat on his head. "Grandpa, you're back. Take a rest first. The rice is ready. We can eat after we stir-fry the vegetables." Fang Shishi hurriedly went up and took the snakeskin bag. Tang Dahai hurriedly moved away and said, "Little girl, this thing is dirty. I'll do it. You sit first, you sit." Fang Shishi did not mind as she took the snakeskin bag and said, "Grandpa, you've been tired all day. You sit down and rest first." Tang Dahai was at a loss of what to do. He was used to seeing people avoid him like the plague, so Fang Shishi's casual behavior made him feel at a loss. "This will dirty your clothes," Tang Dahai said. "It's okay. If the clothes are dirty, just wash them." Fang Shishi carried the snakeskin bag to the corner and put it down. She then diligently poured water and handed it over. He was overwhelmed by her favor and stood there blankly. Tang Zhang's mouth curved into a smile. No matter how his relationship with Fang Shishi was, Fang Shishi's attitude made him feel gratified. "Shishi, you sit for a while. I'll stir-fry. I'll watch and learn." The two of them, one stir-frying, the other watching, occasionally made eye contact with each other, revealing deep affection. Looking at this pair, Tang Dahai sighed in his heart, they really are a match made in heaven. This little girl is also sensible. It's just that our family is too poor. This meal was eaten with relish and the atmosphere was very good. After the meal, Fang Shishi took the initiative to wash the dishes. She then pulled Tang Dahai to chat for a while before getting up to say goodbye. "Little Zheng, you go send her off. Grandpa, then I'll go back first. I'll come see you next time." Under the dim light, the two held hands. Fang Shishi leaned on Tang Zheng's shoulder, her mouth curved into a crescent moon as she smiled and said, "Are you satisfied with my performance in front of Grandpa today?" "Of course I'm satisfied. You did very well. I haven't seen Grandpa this happy in a long time." Tang Zheng said sincerely. "It's good that you're satisfied. Grandpa is the person closest to you, so of course I have to be good to him." Tang Zheng's heart warmed as he held her hand tighter. Feeling the change in his mood, Fang Shishi directly hugged his arm and pressed her chest against it, causing Tang Zheng's mind to wander. "Tang Zheng, my dad wants to invite you to dinner tomorrow night." "Going to your house again?" "Not my house, they want to eat outside. They want to thank you for saving me." Tang Zheng still remembered the last feast at Hongmen, so he really didn't have the heart to deal with them. But when he saw Fang Shishi's hopeful gaze, he couldn't bear to refuse and agreed. I knew you were the best to me. Even though they have their faults, they are still my parents. Fang Shishir also knew what he was thinking, so she advised. Tang Jing smiled and said, "This is nothing. I'm not even afraid of a mountain of blades or a sea of flames. Why would I be afraid of a meal? I knew you were the best to me. Then I'll go back first. Today we didn't finish our business. Let's continue next time." Tang Zheng's heart was burning as he couldn't help but say, "Humph, rogue." Fang Shishir glanced at him flirtatiously before getting into a taxi and leaving. "Brat, you used a sealing technique on me again. You're pissing me off." Tian Chanzi's voice suddenly sounded again. "Did you succeed this time?" Your skills didn't change, so you definitely didn't succeed. You brat, you really disappoint me. You didn't even seize such a heaven-sent opportunity. You're pissing me off." Previously, Tian Chanzi had already been sealed by Tang Zhang's sealing technique. After all, he and Fang Shishir were so intimate that he didn't want Tian Chanzi to know. So as soon as the seal was lifted, Tian Chanzi couldn't wait to ask. "Do you think everyone is as thirsty as you? Things have to be done step by step, do you understand?" Tang Zhang said without any good feelings. "Humph, I think you're an idiot. You brat, don't tell me you have a problem in that area. That's why you dilly-dallied for so long." Tian Chanzi maliciously guessed. "You're the one with a problem." The next day, Tang Zhang was practicing martial arts at home when he suddenly heard someone ask from outside the door, "Tang Zhang, are you home?" "Who is it?" "It's me, Lu Qingmei." A cold voice came in, followed by the sound of footsteps. It was clear that she had already entered the room. Tang Zhang was shocked. Why did Lu Qingmei run over? If she found out that my body has recovered, then it would be terrible. Thus, he quickly lied down on the bed and pretended to be weak and said, "Oh, it's Teacher Lu. Why did you come?" "I'm sorry, I can't move right now, so I can't properly entertain you." Just as he finished speaking, Lu Qingmei walked into the bedroom and looked down at him with a bag of fruits in her hand. "Teacher Lu, please sit." Tang Zhang weakly greeted her. Lu Qingmei looked at him as if she wanted to see through him. After a while, she said, "Is your body better?" "A bit better. After a few more days of rest, I can move." "Teacher Lu, I've troubled you to personally come." Tang Zhang said, gratefully. "It's nothing. Tomorrow is the monthly exam. I wanted to see if you could participate in it. You promised me that you would get first place in the school." Lu Qingmei said straightforwardly. Tang Zhang had a headache. This woman really didn't forget about this matter. He could only pretend to be regretful and said, "Teacher Lu, you've also seen my condition. I really can't go to school." His face cooperated with her to make a regretful expression. "Relax, I won't force you. Since you can't participate in the last monthly exam, then wait for the high school exam. At that time, nothing will happen to you, right?" "No, definitely not. After all, I still have to go to university." "That's good. Then I'll wait for you to get first place in the high school exam. Also, when your injuries are better, I have something to discuss with you." "What is it?" "When the time comes, you'll know. So hurry up and recover. I won't disturb your rest." Lu Qingmei put down the fruits and left under Tang Zhang's suspicious gaze. What followed was very calm. Only in the evening did he arrive at the restaurant that he had agreed to meet with the Fang family. It was a very high-class Chinese restaurant and was very majestic. Tang Zhang was led by the waiter to a private room that was already reserved. When he pushed open the door and entered, Fang Chonghua and Shi Mengqin were already there. Shi Mengqin coldly glanced at him and coldly snorted, directly ignoring his existence. Fang Chonghua nodded at him and said, "Little Tang, come in and sit. Shishir is still in the car and will only arrive in a while." Tang Jing sat down and Fang Chonghua handed him the menu. "You can order whatever you like." Tang Jing moved the menu away and said, "I'll order when Shishir arrives." "That's fine. Since we have time now, let's have a chat. Little Tang, let's get straight to the point. This time you saved Shishir and we are very grateful, so we prepared a gift for you." Fang Chonghua pushed a bank card in front of Tang Jing. "There is 1 million in here. This is not a small amount. Treat it as your reward. But I have a condition. As long as you agree, this 1 million is yours." Fang Chonghua calmly said. Shi Mengqin looked at Tang Jing, her eyes filled with ridicule and disdain. Tang Jing acted as if he did not see it and said, "I saved Shishir not for money." "Little Tang, young people should not speak so firmly. I only have one condition, which is for you to leave Shishir and never bother her again. You and her are not people from the same world. Even if you spend more time and effort, you two will never be together." Loyal words are unpleasant to the ear. Perhaps you feel that these words are not pleasant to hear, but this is reality. With this 1 million, you can buy a house and improve your living conditions. Moreover, it will be enough for your university tuition, so you will benefit the most. Tang Jing stared at Fang Chonghua and said, "You want to use money to bribe me and make me leave Shishir? It's not a bribe. It's a win-win situation." Fang Chonghua was willing to use money to pave the way. He originally wanted to send Fang Shishir out of the country after the high school exam so that the two of them would not have a chance. But now it seemed that the two of them were developing out of control, so he used money to smash Tang Jing. Chapter 109. Throwing money. This was a common tactic used by rich people, but they were all nouveau riche. Even though the Fang family had always boasted of their heritage, they were still unable to get rid of these vulgar tactics. Fang Chonghua and Shi Mengqin both looked at Tang Jing. 1 million was not a small sum to normal people, not to mention Tang Jing's family, so they firmly believed that Tang Jing would accept it. In the past, they did not think of using money to throw down Tang Jing because they felt that Tang Jing was not worth the effort. This time, they found that the situation was already very serious, so they chose this safe method. Tang Jing indifferently glanced at it, but did not reach out to take it. Instead, he put his hand into his pocket and took out an envelope and said, "This is the medical fees that you paid for me. I'm returning it to you." Fang Chonghua and Shi Mengqin looked at each other, unable to hide their surprise. What was going on? They were throwing money at him, so why was he giving them money instead? Fang Chonghua's face gradually became serious. He already understood Tang Jing's attitude from his actions, but he still did not give up and advised, "Tang Jing, your family is not rich. Accepting this 1 million will be good for you, so you don't need to force yourself. Being young and full of vigor is a good thing, but you also need to know your limits. Today, I specially invited you here to let you and Shishir have one last meal and then go your separate ways." Tang Jing's expression did not change as he pushed the envelope in front of the other party and said, "You have spent so much effort, but I will have to disappoint you. I have already said that I will not leave Shishir, so your efforts are futile. Tang Jing, don't be so shameless. You don't know what's good for you. Be careful that we don't give you this 1 million and let you continue to be a pauper." Shi Mengqin finally could not help but slap the table and arrogantly scolded. "You should keep it for yourself. You can buy a few more branded bags. If you want to break us up, you really can't do it." Since the other party went straight to the point, Tang Jing did not feign civility and directly stood up to leave. The couple looked at Tang Jing in shock. They did not think that he would be so resolute and not even put 1 million in his eyes. Tang Zheng, do you think 1 million is too little? Fang Chonghua asked. I don't have much money, but I don't need your money. Tang Zheng walked towards the door without looking back. Fine, Tang Zheng, you better remember this, I won't give you this 1 million, but you better not regret it. You are just a small character without any power or influence, I don't believe I can't deal with you. Shi Mengqin stood up and threatened with an ashen face. Tang Zheng turned a deaf ear and opened the door, only to find that Fang Shishir had just walked to the door. Fang Shishir looked at him in surprise and said, "You're here. Why, are you going out to pick me up?" Before he could say anything, Fang Shishir had already pulled him back into the private room. "Dad, Mom, have you ordered? I'm a little hungry." Tang Zheng originally wanted to leave, but Fang Shishir came. He could not leave and was pulled back to his seat. "Okay, I'll immediately order. You sit for a while first." Fang Chonghua calmly said as if nothing had happened. Shi Mingqin's shrewdness was clearly much worse as she coldly snorted and said, "I'm going to the restroom." She glared at Tang Zheng and left the private room. Tang Zheng acted as if he did not see anything as he whispered with Fang Shishir. Fang Shishir inquired about his well-being, asked him how his body was, and also talked about the latest news in school. Her face was brimming with smiles from beginning to end. Fang Chonghua glanced at it and his eyelids jumped as he lightly wrinkled his eyebrows. What is this envelope?" Fang Shishir suddenly asked. "My medical fees," Tang Zheng said. "Medical fees?" Fang Shishir immediately understood what was going on. Her expression changed as she solemnly said, "Tang Zheng, take it back. You were injured because of me, so the medical fees should be paid by our family." Without any explanation, she stuffed the envelope into Tang Zheng's pocket. "Right, little Tang, you should take it back. We don't lack this bit of money," Fang Chonghua also said. Tang Zheng once again placed the envelope on the table. "I am a person of principle. I am hospitalized myself, so I must pay for it. Tang Zheng, is there a need for the two of us to draw such a clear line?" Fang Shishir rebuked as she glared at him. These words caused Fang Chonghua's heart to tremble as he felt that this matter was becoming more and more thorny. However, it was also urgent that the two of them be separated. Otherwise, this matter would truly be irreversible. The envelope was stuffed back in. Just at this moment, there was a pang sound as the private room's door was suddenly pushed open and a scream rang out. "Let go of me, you bunch of trash. You must have eaten the guts of a leopard to dare make a move against me. I will definitely let you all die a horrible death." This voice could not be any more familiar as several people turned their heads to look. They saw Shi Mengqin in a sorry state being grabbed by the hair as she stumbled in. Fang Chonghua immediately stood up as he solemnly looked at the few fierce-looking youths. "Let go!" Fang Chonghua angrily roared. The few youths completely ignored his roar as they fiercely grabbed Shi Mengqin's hair and asked, "Are you guys together?" Shi Mengqin felt pain as she cried out, it hurts so much. Hurry and let go of me." "Who are you people? Hurry and let go of my wife or I will call the police," Fang Chonghua arrogantly said. "Call the police. We are so scared." "Then call the police. We will stand here and wait for the police to come so we can have a good talk." The youths were clearly not afraid of the police as they carelessly urged him. Fang Chonghua was shocked as from the other side's clothes and tone, he could tell that they were not high-level people and were probably from the underworld. If it was a normal person, Fang Chonghua would have a way to deal with them. However, these underworld people were vicious and merciless and did not act according to common sense. Fang Chonghua had always despised them, but he would always keep a respectful distance and not dare to provoke them. This time, he actually bumped into the muzzle of a gun. For a moment, He was at a loss as to what to do, as he did not know how his wife got into a conflict with this group of people. Let go of my mom. Fang Shishir was stunned for a moment before she also stood up and angrily glared at them. If you have something to say, then say it properly. Is there a need to make a move? Making a move is against the law. Yo, there is also a little beauty here. The few people's attention was immediately attracted by Fang Shishir. Is this your mom? No matter how I look at her, she doesn't look like her at all. You are much prettier than her. Fang Shishir was so angry that her face turned red as she said, hurry and let her go. Let her go. It's not that easy. She bumped into people, and not only did she not apologize, she was also full of filthy words. If we don't teach her a lesson, then wouldn't we be teaching a beauty like you a bad thing? The young man said with an evil smile. Fang Chonghua walked in front of the other party and retorted, I think you guys are the ones causing trouble. Right, Chonghua, they are the blind dogs. They bumped into me and even hit me. Shi Mengqin shrieked with disheveled hair. Yo, your ability to invert black and white is really amazing. It was clearly you who bumped into us, and your mouth is full of shit, yet you still dare to say that we hit you. I originally did not like hitting women, but since you said I hit you, then I will fulfill your wish. Paw. A resounding slap fiercely landed on Shi Mengqin's face. Shi Mengqin was clearly stunned and even forgot to scream. However, in the next second, her scream was so loud that it seemed as if it could lift the roof. You really dared to hit me. This is overturning the heavens. Chonghua, hurry and teach them a lesson. Teach them a lesson. They actually dared to hit me. Her voice was filled with anger and disbelief. Hey, is this woman stupid? Does she really think that she is the heavenly emperor and can do whatever she wants in this ordinary balance? Why doesn't she take a piss and look at herself? Hang. The others all mocked. Fang Chonghua's face was ashen. His wife was hit in front of him, and that slap was like a slap to his face. It was burning hot and he was completely enraged. Relying on his tall stature, he punched out and loudly roared, let go. Okay, since you want to make a move, then we brothers will accompany you to play. The young man released Shi Mengqin and walked up to Fang Chonghua. Although Fang Chonghua was taller than the other, he lived like a prince, so how could he be the other's opponent? After being punched in the stomach, he hugged his stomach and squatted down, his face becoming the color of pig liver. Ha, nice to look at but useless. So he was just an idiot. The others all began to laugh. Shi Mengqin hid to the side, shivering. Don't look at how high and mighty she was normally. Seeing this scene, she immediately realized that something was wrong. That kind of high and mighty attitude was useful against others, but it was completely useless against these young men who used their fists to speak. Seeing the other party smile at her, she was so scared that she actually retreated a few steps, knocking into the table. Hey, now you know fear. If you had apologized earlier, wouldn't all of this have happened? The few people stepped closer. Shi Mengqin was truly panicking. Suddenly, Fang Shishir bravely stepped forward and stood in front of her. She fearlessly glared at the few people and said, You are not allowed to harm my mother. Little beauty, your guts are quite big. You are much stronger than your parents. The young man laughed, but if you do something wrong, then you must be punished. Just now, she didn't just curse me with 1 or 2 sentences. How can 1 slap be enough? 2 more slaps and then this matter will be considered over. If you want to harm my mother, then I will fight it out with you. Fang Shishir did not shrink back. Then I can only ruthlessly destroy the flower. You are not allowed to touch my daughter. Fang Chonghua stood up and staggered in front of the door. At this moment, even though his heart was filled with fear, he still had the instinct to protect his family. You are not our opponent. Obediently stand to the side. The young man pushed Fang Chongguo aside and extended his hand to grab Fang Shishir. Tang Zhang had been quietly observing the situation. In truth, he believed the other party's words. With Xi Mingqin's arrogant personality, this conflict was most likely caused by her. Ever since he came into contact with Lin Hu, he gradually realized that the people of the underworld were not completely unreasonable. Thus, he deliberately remained calm and collected to see how the situation would develop. Perhaps, he harbored some evil thoughts and wanted to see this couple make a fool of themselves. However, Fang Shishir's performance was out of his expectations. The usually gentle girl was actually not afraid of such an enemy and even dared to confront them. Seeing the other party attack Fang Shishir, Tang Zheng knew that he could not continue to quietly observe the situation. Thus, he stood up. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.